Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Season 6 Goals entry draft. My name is Evan. You may also know me as Oni Escola, the owner of the Turku Finns. I am joined here tonight by the guy you know as Squibs. How you doing here tonight, Squibs?
Doing great, Evan. Happy to be on here. Excited to announce some draft picks, talk about the draft, and see how things shape out for Season 6.
Yeah, it's an exciting night. We're obviously not alone here tonight. The two of us, we've got all of our amazing guests, our great producer, Axis, and we've got all the Season 5 standout players, the award winners, showing up on screen here. So congratulations to those players and the accomplishments that they had in Season 5. What do you any thoughts before we jump into the clock here? Any thoughts on Season 5 and what these players were able to accomplish this season?
Looking at Alaska's team, with multiple award winners, if I'm not mistaken, four, if not more, and they put up one hell of a season offensively, as well as defensively, with McBitter there, or McBride, sorry, there in goal. And of course, I think the biggest story of last season was Dublin repeating as champions. So, it's last season as a whole was an awesome season, but I think Season 6 is going to be even better.
Absolutely. Every season improves, I think, and still a relatively young league, but making huge strides. So, you mentioned Dublin winning the cup, so congratulations to them. Congratulations to Iceland for winning the Miners' Cup. Many of those players will be drafted here tonight as well. And if we're ready with the clock there, Dave, we can throw Albuquerque officially on the clock here to kick off the Season 6 entry draft. So while we, I don't know if the pick's already in or not, but doesn't look like it, not yet anyway. So while we wait for that pick, I'll just touch on a few rules here for those unaware. So most of the picks tonight will be affiliate players, which we'll probably touch on a few times throughout tonight, what affiliates are. But essentially, each team is allowed to end the draft between their signed affiliates and drafted ones with either 2 or 3 defensemen. Can't have less than 2, can't have more than 3. The rest will be forwards. No goaltenders will be affiliates, so no goalies will hear their names called tonight. They'll all just return back to their original teams. All teams will get 7 affiliates each, except for the bottom 7 teams from last season's regular season will get an 8th affiliate as well. Um, and there's two pro spots up for grabs tonight. One with Copenhagen and one with Rome. Here, both on defense. So we'll see two defensemen who get drafted for pro slots. So this is obviously the fewest pro slots we've had available going into a draft here, Squibs. What do you think that means for the league? What do you think? I guess what are you expecting to see with so many affiliates drafted here tonight? Only two pros out of 70. I think it's 79 picks, something like that. Yeah, 79 selections tonight. Only two of them.
Yeah, I think it helps that we haven't had expansion since season 4. And so, I think that helps keep one, the number of pro spot opportunities low. But two, also believe that, we've had, a very high retention rate of vets who have been drafted or been called up and who've stayed, in the pro ranks. Even this offseason, we unfortunately saw some pros have to make the jump back down to minors who were in the minors at one point last season or the season before. So, the pro spots are hard to come by, but at the same time, there's going to be, opportunities that, arise like Dublin or like Copenhagen, sorry, Dublin, Copenhagen now, and Rome. So, as these opportunities arise, it's going to be up to the people to kind of step up into that role.
Absolutely. Huge. It's a huge jump from the pro to the minors sometimes, or minors to pro sometimes. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see those two players adjust. We do have the first overall selection has been submitted. So that is going to be center Tanner Pitts going to Albuquerque. He will become a Beijing Buck as an Albuquerque affiliate. There it is up on the board. So congratulations, Tanner Pitts, your first overall selection here in the season 6 draft. He's a very active member so far of the minor leagues. And usually after the draft is when players take up their activity even more. So I'm sure he's going to be a great pick. Any initial reactions there, Squibs, as we throw the Boston Buccaneers up on the clock?
Yeah, looking at this pick, Albuquerque had the first overall and second overall last season due to some trades and the lottery, and the same thing happened this season with them getting the first overall pick. And Tanner Pitts going there is a fantastic pick. Great person, great player, very active as we've already seen. I think the hardest thing about this draft class is that there wasn't a clear cut top overall pick just because there were so many. Elite prospects essentially that all were deserving of, very high draft picks. And, coming into this, Mick Ross looked like he was slacking a little bit, knocking, a lot of stuff out. So from the league side, it made it a little challenging to kind of anticipate where people might, be going from previous seasons, but also, you're not drafting, a lot based on need or availability just because there's, so many affiliate spots open for teams at this point.
Yeah, for sure. That makes predicting as a team owner really difficult. And you mentioned Mick Ross definitely slacked this offseason. Only I think 2 mock drafts, no other real big content. But it's got to be hard for somebody in that type of role as well to predict, given the stuff you mentioned. We've got a number of shout outs and stuff to get to, but before we do, we'll announce the second overall selection. Boston Squibs, did you want to take that one away?
Yeah, the Boston Buccaneers take left wing and right wing sniper R.J. Corker with the second overall pick. This now puts Rome Gladiators onto the clock. Evan, you want to break that pick down?
Yeah, that's another great selection. R.J. Corker, somebody who's very active in the minors, has expressed interest in a management staff type of role as well. I know, so I expected them to go high. So definitely a great selection here for Boston at number 2. This puts Rome on the clock. This might be the first time we see a pro player selected here. This is a potential. If they take a defenseman here, that would be one for their pro roster. Otherwise, they could maybe take a forward here and take a defenseman a little bit later. While we wait for that selection, though, I've got a few shout outs to make. Obviously, a huge shout out to Krieg, our fearless leader. We'll get him on here to talk in a few minutes. Shout out to Doug, who's co deputy commissioner with me. Our director of players and personnel, it's Chewy Canadian, aka Amelia Rose. Obviously, Dave Axis for all the work he does on this draft show. It's huge. All this fancy stuff you're seeing is product of him for sure. Squibs, all the work you do, as well as obviously hosting the show as well. And a massive shout out to Tyler Grims as well, who spent countless hours cutting the new logos in NHL 23, making them look all crisp. All these logos you're seeing here, the team logos that pop up on the screen, those are Tyler Grims cutting those out from the game screenshots for us. And then Dave obviously making the videos. And then obviously a huge shout out to the owners, prospects, the stats team, rosters team, streamers, all of that. Just a ton of people that do a lot for this league. I wanted to get a few special ones out there for sure. And then, there's countless people to thank. So Rome has made their selection there, Squibs. Did you want to take that one away?
Yeah. So with the third overall pick in the first round, Rome Gladiators take right defenseman Max Jones with that pick there. So that means Max Jones is going to be a pro player now. Evan, you want to talk about Jones?
Yeah, that's a big selection there. Really quick, we'll throw Honolulu up on the clock. Max Jones, I believe the highest rated player looking just at pure overall in the draft. Somebody who has been in the league for a while, and definitely a big presence on that back end. Helped Malmo a lot last season, I think, with their defensive prowess, and really helped out that goalie there, Douglas Brown. With Honolulu on the clock, we do have their selection, and that is another player I expected to go high up, was high on my board, and that's right defenseman Captain Wicked, or Capt Wicked, going number 4 to Honolulu. That puts the Copenhagen Vikings, formerly Dublin Dragons, up on the clock officially. Squibs, I know you and Wicked have gone head to head a little bit, kind of playful trash talk a few times over the last week or two. I've been involved in some of that as well. What are your thoughts on the selection here to Honolulu?
I think Wicked would, lose his mind if I talked nice about him at first. But I guess that's what I got to do. I think Honolulu just made a heck of a pick. I agree with you, Evan. Wicked was very high on my board, as well as I think pretty much everybody's board with just his activity level. And from the moment he joined the league, you saw him in the Twitch chat before I think even just joined the Discord. And you could already tell that he was going to be a special, locker room presence and, player. An offensive defenseman is, a build that, can be, undervalued. Sometimes, looking at a guy like Will Heaney over there for you, lower overall, but, makes a heck of an impact. So, I think Wicked can definitely do that for Honolulu here in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. I've said a few times I think Heaney might be one of the best values in the league just because of the way his overall doesn't seem to go up with the way his production does. And, somebody like Wicked could be kind of follow in that type of mold. A lot of offensive defensemen have lower overalls than what they're actually producing on the ice. So definitely a great selection there for Honolulu. I knew he wasn't going to be there available for me at 23, but it does kind of suck to see him go elsewhere because he was one just based on that activity level and person one that you would have highly for sure. While we wait for that Copenhagen pick, Kamenev, are you available to come on and talk about what went into the selection of Tanner Pitts at number 1 and what it means for your organization to have a first overall pick, second time in a row?
Yeah, kind of feeling like the Edmonton Oilers right now with all these first overall picks. Hopefully we can get some championships out of them, unlike the Oilers. But no, it really came down to either Tanner Pitts or Captain Wicked, and both of them are great players. Both of them super active, great guys. I loved my interviews with both of them. It's just unfortunately with our defense, I didn't see a chance to get Wicked into a pro spot anytime soon. And we've got both of our alternates are on defense. Constantine does our stats. Uh, I think 5 of our 6 defensive guys right now are just heavily involved in the organization. I don't see them going anywhere. So we went with offense and a center right wing playmaker that can really help our offense in season to come.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Obviously, like we mentioned, he's a really active person, a great pick. Squibs, do you have any questions follow up for Kamenev here?
Yeah, Cayman, if you want to talk a little bit about the trades that kind of positioned you to have these first round or first overall picks back to back years.
Yeah, those are some massive trades for us. Really, one of them was just a flat out gift. Um, I never would have thought that they would have been back to back first overall picks, but I definitely was expecting that Melbourne trade that I made 2 or 3 seasons ago now to pan out in my favor in the end. And that stems back from an even earlier trade that was with the former St. Louis, now Tennessee Black Bears. And it's really nice to see the tree develop into something healthy that's still paying dividends from that far back.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely. A big trade for both teams really. As what they got was good, but obviously you're seeing the benefits this far down the line as well in draft capital. Well, I know you got to run here, and we got another pick to announce. So thanks for coming on, Kamenev,
Yep,
and best of
thank
luck
you.
this season.
Yep, you as
All
well.
right, so thanks. So we've got the Copenhagen selection, and that is right defenseman Bro Nevermind, and he will be a pro as well. So we're seeing Mac Jones go at 3, Bro Nevermind at 5. Those are the 2 players from this draft class going pro immediately, and the rest of them will be affiliates in the minors next season. And that'll throw the Miami Maccabees up on the clock, one of the recent relocations, which we'll touch on at some point tonight as well. Any thoughts on the selection of Nevermind there? Was
Evan, you tailed off a little bit there at the end. I'm going to go with the assumption that you were asking for my thoughts on Derek Avis or Bro Nevermind. The writing was on the wall, painting was on the canvas that this pick was going to be this. You know, Bro Nevermind was here, at one point in the league, and him and Chewy slash Amelia Rose are fairly close and friends. So it made sense that's how it was going to play out. And looking at Avis's player, it's a heck of a build, 6'7", 223 defensive defenseman. So he's going to be a staple there on the back end for Copenhagen. Sorry, for probably a good while. So Evan, back to you.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get Chewy to come on here in just a minute to talk about it. Did you want to go ahead and announce that Miami selection really quick, Squibs, though?
Yeah, so the Miami Maccabees take left defenseman, right defenseman, Mauricio Mileto, defensive defenseman, 6 overall. This now puts Florence on the clock, and Evan, I'm going to step away for a moment to work on this pick.
Yeah, you go do that. And yeah, we'll see the Florence graphic come up there. Chewy, you available to come on and talk about the selection of Bro Nevermind at number 5?
Yeah, I'm super happy that Eric came back to the league. Recent name change, so he is now Derek Avis, or nickname Bro Nevermind. I don't know, but yeah, I'm super happy with the pick. Like Squib says, we've become pretty good friends, and he's going to be huge for our defense going 3 in a row, 2 in a row, 3 championships this season. So yeah, I'm super happy with that.
Awesome. Yeah, probably a pick like Squib said, and like you said, you're good friends, so probably a pick that some people saw coming, but definitely a great pick nonetheless. While we have you on here, we'll make a bit of a league announcement as well, and that is for all you viewers and listeners and everybody in the league for all the work that you do, Chewy. The league is officially promoting you from director of players and personnel to a deputy commissioner. So congratulations. Did you want to maybe touch on that with the change of roles and all that?
Oh, damn. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, yeah, I mean, well, thank you. I don't know what else to say. I definitely appreciate the honor of being promoted and the trust that the league puts in me. So yeah.
Yeah, well, we've said it a few times on different shows and things we've done together, but I think without you, or I mean, this could be said about a number of people probably, but without you, there is no goals. So thank you for all the work that you do for this community, and yeah, congratulations on the promotion. All right, so with yeah, yeah, he's gone off
What?
to celebrate, pop the champagne, and
Oh,
no, I'm just
sorry.
I'm
Oh,
just teasing.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm just teasing. But
I've
yeah,
peaked. I've
so with
peaked.
yeah. All right, so Florence is still on the clock there. Got about 2.5 minutes. Bib's obviously busy with that. Yeah, there's a number of things I was going to get to, but um, yeah, I guess we'll talk a little bit about what affiliates are. So, for those of you that don't know, many people in the league in this draft class probably do know, but an affiliate player essentially is somebody who's going to play in the minors, has ties to that pro organization, will have access to the locker room, guidance, things like that, and they'll be first in line, or one of 7 players first in line to be called up if that pro team loses a player to leaving the league, miss progressions, whatever the case may be. So you'll play in the minors, but you'll have close ties to a pro team if you get drafted here tonight. And with that, the Florence Firebirds have made their selection, and we will throw that one up there. That is left defenseman Knuckle Puck, an enforcer, going to the Florence Firebirds. Squibs, if you're back, did you want to maybe touch on that selection and what that means for your organization?
Yeah, we looking at the Tokyo Tigers. Defense wasn't exactly a position of need. There was a couple other very high quality candidates that are was very high on our board that you know making this pick was a lot more difficult than I would have imagined. So, um, as soon as we went onto the clock, I got a DM from Knuckle Puck saying bring him home. So, which I thought was interesting, and that really kind of sold the deal for us. So, um, Knuckle Puck, we're happy to have you here in Florence and Tokyo. So, we're looking forward to what you're able to bring for us. So, Evan, you want to talk about this pick or something else a little bit while we're waiting on Tennessee?
Yeah, for sure. That's one of the players that I expected to see go high. I don't think there's really, well, I mean, not a ton of players in this draft class would be bad picks, I think, but I think the top 7 picks we've seen so far are all solid names, players that I expected to see go pretty high. Highly rated. I think the 2 players who are going pro definitely deserve it. So a huge shout out to those guys. Some really talented players in the minors. There's a number of them do deserve to go pro as well. But while we wait on Tennessee, I was actually thinking, do we want to maybe call on Potty? I know you have a pick coming up in 5 or 6 picks here, 7 picks or so. But are you free to talk maybe a bit about the selection of Molito at number 6?
Yeah, Mauricio. My father's name is Maurice. So,
Oh, nice.
coming in with Mauricio, we needed a good, strong defense person to take a leadership kind of position in the defensive formation. So that's where we're kind of going. But shout out to Parker Minion, the assistant general manager, who kind of has come along with our draft strategy today. So we're going to see a lot of things coming from Parker in the future. But just wanted to shout out his contributions to our team today.
Awesome. Yeah, Squibs, do you got a question or?
I'm sorry. I was actually, talking some, a little bit of trades since we have one
Oh
extra
no.
pick than what we need. So, um, actually, I don't at this moment. I apologize, Potty.
That's all right. How you guys doing this night?
Doing
Doing
good, doing
well.
good. I do have one more question here. It looks like Tennessee's starting to type up, but I figured it's been a while since I've been on a show with you, but it's kind of your staple question on Rinkside, but figured I'd throw it at you this time. Where do you see Gohls in 5 years' time?
I see it growing exponentially, and I think that the big hindrance right now is a technological barrier where we require humans to stream the games. But I think that in cloud gaming, we can create instances of games to run on servers and be able to have a near infinite number of simulations running at once. And then we can kind of compile that down to whatever the player base is to have, infinite scalability. So where do I see it? I see it in the millions of active users. I see a thriving community that's like growing towards infinite potential. That's where I see things.
Yeah, very, optimistic, but the way technology is going, and I know there are some text-based sims that do a large amount of simulations like that as well. So definitely love the optimism, and yeah, if we're gonna keep growing to that extreme, we definitely need some computers to be doing the sims for us for sure. But awesome. Well, thank you for coming on here, Potty. Good luck the rest of the draft, and maybe we'll talk some more later on, depending on how things go.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. All right. So with that, Tennessee has made their selection. So that is going to be left winger Captain Burnouts. So the second captain going in the top 8 selections here. And see if that's there it goes. Um, and Honolulu going up on the clock here. Squibs, I know you're probably working the trade lines here, but do you have any thoughts on the pick of Burnout?
It's a fantastic pick. Another super active guy or gal. Not entirely sure, but super active person nonetheless. Um, I seeing how they act or interacted with the community as a whole. It's definitely something that fits Tennessee's style of having very active and engaged people. So I think it's a fantastic pick by him.
Yeah, definitely. Just pulling that up here. What sorry, did you want to go ahead and announce that Honolulu pick now here?
Yeah. So with the 9th overall pick, the Honolulu Tropics select defenseman future considerations. That'll be a fun thing if he's ever traded. Let's hope he's never traded for future considerations. But Evan, break this pick down while we put Redwater on the clock.
Yeah, the Undertaker is going up on the clock here, and yeah, that name you mentioned it, future considerations. It's definitely one of the best names in the league, probably, and um, yeah, up until this point in time, future considerations has not been a tradable or an accepted trade asset in this league, but now that a player obviously it'll add some sort of wrinkle and stuff like that. So that's a nice pick though, because future considerations is another one of those players that's been very active since joining the minor league here. So I think I'm excited to see what they're able to do for Manitoba next season as a Honolulu affiliate, which I'm blanking on if I'm correct on this, but I feel like future considerations played for Manitoba last season as well. But I could be wrong about that. With so many players moving around and stuff like that. But should be a nice addition to the I guess Berlin Snowhawks next season to their blue line. Speaking of, while we wait for the Redwater pick, and Squib's probably working the trade lines here, I'll just for anyone who's unaware of what team is what when it comes to affiliations and things like that. So we've got 8 minor league teams. Each one has 2 pro teams affiliated with it. So we've got the Beijing Bucks, which is affiliated with Albuquerque and San Diego. The Berlin Snowhawks with Alaska and Honolulu. The Iceland Ice with Jacksonville and Tennessee. the Malmo Royals with Rome and Turku, the Sydney Whales with Boston and Miami, the Tokyo Tigers with Florence and Las Vegas, the Warsaw Warlocks with Copenhagen and North Bay, and the Wellington Farmers with Norfolk and Redwater. So if you hear your name called with one of these pro teams, that's which affiliate team you'll go play for. You can also find this stuff in the team info channel of the Discord. Shows who's affiliated with who. If you look at the minor league team info. Any thoughts here on what direction you think Redwater might go, or just general thoughts on the draft so far there, Squibs?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the draft so far over which direction I think they're going to go. I don't want to be wrong this early into the draft. I think looking at it, we've already had a run of defensemen in the top 10, and in years past we've had that before, and I think that same trend kind of continues. But at the same time, people who are extremely active. Are kind of getting that edge over, some other players, but also almost all these players have been here for a little bit of time now. So, I think, like I said earlier in this draft, there's, so many, great talents that, falling later into the draft is not a thing to be ashamed of at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, it is very defense heavy. We've seen that sometimes. There's been a few drafts. I think season 4 might have been the last one where it was very defense heavy at the top. I know the season 2 draft was very defense heavy as well. It really depends on what's valued in the draft class that season. And you could be a fantastic forward, but in a draft class like this with defensemen going fast, you might slide a little bit, or vice versa. So, and that kind of goes towards as well. I mentioned in the Discord server, I talk about it every draft day. It does not matter, when you're drafted. What matters is where you're drafted to, and the fit that you get with that room. So, um, yeah, just keep that in mind, prospects. Some of you might have a long night waiting till the 8th or ninth round, but it'll all work out in the end. There's just been some award winners drafted very late here as well. So, all right, so we'll probably. I was thinking about having Krieg on, but with less than a minute left on Redwater's clock, maybe we'll call on Krieg after the pick comes in. There it is. With the 10th overall selection, the Redwater Undertakers have selected Hex Waters. If it'll load up, there we go. Hex Waters going into the draft board there for Redwater. That's going to put the Rome Gladiators back up on the clock after selecting Max Jones a little bit earlier. Krieg, are you available to come on and chat for a few minutes? Oh, he's
what's up?
typing in the other channel as well. Not too much, Krieg. I guess as commissioner of the league, do you have initial thoughts here on the draft so far, how the picks have unfolded, the great production that Axis puts together every season, and general thoughts here for us?
Dave always puts on a damn show. I'll tell you that for sure. That's why I would pay the man the big bucks, First draft is looking like defense going heavy, so I'm hoping some defense falls to the 3rd round for me, but we'll see what happens. But all around, I think we got up to like 86 viewers. I was hoping for 100. I don't think it's going to get there, but that's okay. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, 86 is solid for all affiliation draft too. I think our peak one was 99, and that had a lot of pro selections. So 86 is pretty good tonight. For
sure. And frickin' Jess, man, with all his gifted subs, man, huge shout out to you, Jess. Thanks for coming back in the league. I'm glad you're doing a lot better than you were.
Yeah, I saw some people talking about it. I didn't see how many it was though, but yeah, definitely a huge shout out there as well. Squibs, do you have any questions for our fearless leader here?
Jess gave out 25 subs.
25. Ooh.
Wow. Krieg, you started this almost 2 years ago at this point. Where do you
May
see
17th, 2 years.
Where do you see this going to be at in 5 years?
Shoot. Well, I'm hoping I want to get 32 teams. That's my main goal. That's my whole goal when I started this. That was the end game. Now streaming games that take a half hour to 45 minutes to complete, definitely hard to schedule them all with the streamers. I'm glad we have new streamers that we can trust and run the games. But I'm hoping that's what I want. I want 32 teams, and whether it's 18 affiliation teams or whatever, however we can do it. Like Paulie said, technology is getting there, so you never know what could happen. But my whole end goal was always 32 teams.
Well, fair
All
enough.
right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Krieg.
While you're here, Krieg, it's tradition in a lot of pro leagues for the commissioners to announce the pick. While you're on the horn here, did you want to announce that Rome selection that just came in a minute ago?
All right, with the one first round 11th pick of the draft, Rome picks a Willie Ruth, center playmaker.
All right, and there it is. And that's going to put the Copenhagen Dragons back on the clock for the second time here tonight. Thanks again for coming on, Krieg. Maybe we'll talk a bit later once when your pick's coming up. But best of
I'll
luck
be
tonight
around.
and next season as well. Awesome. Squibs, did you have any thoughts on that Willie?
Yeah, the Ruth pick was a solid pick. Another playmaking center. Decent overall, 61 overall there, and very solid build just all around. So I think it's going to be a solid player for Rome and for the future for them. So, Evan, you want to talk about it a little more?
Yeah, that's another one. There's a few prospects in this class, and a few of them have been taken that I don't know that well personally. But you see them around talking, and Waters and Ruth have definitely been some pretty active members of the minors since they joined here. So it's definitely good to see that rewarded with an early selection. Copenhagen here coming up on the clock with just about 4 minutes left. Obviously, they took Bro Nevermind. I think that was maybe one of the more predictable picks, in a good for them. But now that they're on the clock again with 12, I don't really know where to speculate going. They do already if my notes are correct, already have two defensemen, or sorry, affiliate defensemen. So they could take one more, or they could go forward. Looks like they're typing here. Squibs, did you have any last minute thoughts to try to predict what they're going to pick while he's typing it?
I think they're going to go with a forward. I think that they have a lot of youth there on the defensive side. So, I think they're going to go forward. Considering the cap purposes and such, that might push them to make some tough decisions here in the future. And considering he just stopped typing for a bit, maybe he backpedaled and decided to change that after I predicted. So, what are your thoughts, Evan?
Well, the pick is in, and it's another active member of the minor leagues and a big impact person on running the Gohls EASHL team, and that is forward winger Wild Bearman going to Copenhagen, going to be a Warsaw Warlock. And yeah, it's Honolulu is on the clock now. Krieg tagged the wrong team, tagged Miami one pick early. The Honolulu Tropics on the clock here. Wild Bearman, a great selection. I think for Copenhagen, going to be a impact player for Warsaw. Any initial thoughts? I don't know how active your trade lines are at the moment, but any initial thoughts on the Bearman going at number 12?
Yeah, Bearman going here, isn't really surprising considering we know how much Dublin loves power forwards. So, a fantastic pick for them. Somebody who I thought was definitely going to go higher in the draft. So, yeah, trade fronts, happening, but at the same time, got a draft show to help run. So, Evan, what are your thoughts on the pick?
Yeah, like I said, he's a very active member so far. Seems like a cool guy through talking to him about the EASHL and other stuff in the server and around the community. So definitely a good pick. And Dublin's had success with players with Bear in their name before. So if you can live up to be even half of what Grizzlebear did for the Dragons back in the day here with the newly rebranded Copenhagen, that would be a hell of a pick here at number 12. Speaking of Copenhagen and their rebranding, while we wait for the Honolulu pick, we did open up a rebranding opportunity for pro teams with the switch to NHL 23. Obviously, some had ownership changes, would have been eligible for it anyway, but we did have 4 teams take us up on it. So the Dublin Dragons are now the Copenhagen Vikings, the Season 5 champions, the first team to win the cup twice. We've got the North Bay Mallards, which used to be the Boston War Unicorns. We've got the Boston Buccaneers, moving over from the Melbourne Marauders. And the fourth one is slipping my mind here for a second. It's the Florida Challengers have relocated over to be the Miami Maccabees. So still within the state of Florida, just a little bit of a rebranding and moving a town over, as the Challengers were based in Orlando under previous ownership. So with I'm going to call on you again here, Squibs. Do you want to go ahead and announce the Honolulu selection?
Yes. So with the 13th overall pick in the first round, the Honolulu Tropics take right defenseman Mash. Evan, you want to break this pick down while we put I believe it's Miami now onto the clock.
Yeah, it's Miami now going up there. Mash, aka Mash Zigamanis. A player came in when they first created their player, just put Mash as their name. I think that's why they're entered as Mash. Changed their name, hasn't been reflected everywhere, but definitely a great selection there for Honolulu. Somebody who's been around the league for a good chunk of this season, I think. Has quite a bit of progression in there. Played really well on the back end, I believe, for the Bucks last season. So it'll be interesting to see what they do for Berlin. That now puts Honolulu at three defensive affiliates, so they are full up in that department. Do you have any thoughts? I'm going to keep calling you as much as I can because you got 3 picks coming up here in a row, so I'm going to lose you for a while during that. So I'm going to try to get you to talk, save my voice for that stretch. But any thoughts on the strategy of going with that main defenseman early on? Maybe touch on that and then reveal the pick that just came in.
Yeah, when Brownstone took over Honolulu, something that he prioritized was trying to get some more skilled players in there into their system and into Honolulu itself. So last season, we talked about it and we discussed it, kind of during the draft, and this season I think is not too much different. I think that there's going to be some changes to their blue line here in the near future, and guys like Wicked and Mash, might find themselves up there considering their offensive defensemen. So, I think it's a solid pick there for him. And, with the 14th overall pick, the Miami Maccabees select Kirai Prince, power forward. Sorry that I mispronounced that. But that now puts Rome on the clock for 2. Evan, you want to break down the Prince pick?
Yeah, that one doesn't surprise me too much. Obviously, Potty had some close ties to Warsaw as their coach for the last couple of seasons, and Prince did play for the Warlocks. So, yeah, a great selection there. Somebody that well, and I'm a Steelers fan when it comes to the NFL, and they draft out of Pitt quite often, guys that they get to see in the building every day. They share a building. So sometimes just that familiarity is a big, asset to knowing about a player before the draft comes. Yeah, so that's definitely a great selection. We saw it a lot, I think, last season. We saw a lot of players get drafted back to their affiliate teams. I don't think we're seeing it a ton this time around, which is nice to see that mixture. We've seen a few of them, but definitely a nice selection for Miami. Obviously, he's not going to go back to Warsaw as a Miami affiliate, but does have that Warsaw ties with Potty as his old coach. He'll be going over to Sydney to play for the relocated Sydney Whales next season. Yeah, we've got a few more minutes here on Rome's first clock. Any thoughts yourself on the idea of drafting players from a team that you're familiar with when it comes to the affiliate program?
Absolutely. We have a history with Tokyo. We've called guys up from there in the past. Our captain last season, Guy Clausen, was a guy that we knew well, and I think the main reason we knew him so well was because he was in Tokyo in season 3 before we called him up. So as a whole, the team that you interact most with in the minors, I think, is you just have a bit of insight, how those players interact with each other and how active they are in the locker room. Some people are active in the locker rooms or in the Twitch chat, but might not be as active in the rest of the Gohls server. So you kind of miss out on seeing some of those if you're not part of another locker room. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Evan, do you want to announce the 15th pick?
Yeah, for sure. We've got the first of Rome's 2 selections up on the clock here, and that is forward sniper Niels Godlander. Not really a big surprise here, in my opinion. Somebody that has ties to the owner there in Rome, has ties to Triple H, and I think like he kind of hinted in the draft chat the other day, or draft prospects chat the other day, that he's open to going anywhere as long as you do a draft interview with him. But he does have one team in mind that he'd like to go to. He didn't say who it was, but I think it felt pretty clear at the time that it might have been Rome, just with the connection and the trash talk that he exchanges there with the owner. So, any thoughts on that pick and where you think Rome might go here with number 16?
Yeah, I think Godlander's a very solid pick. Another guy who's been active and participating in the buildup of everything. So he's already learned a second position, so that helps kind of boost one of his attributes and overall. But also being a 6'9" sniper, it's a heck of a build. Just a very tall player, and Rome is I think kind of getting to the point where they're known for having a lot of height. So Evan, you want to take over for the 16th pick here?
Yeah, definitely. We got the 16th overall selection. Also to Rome is another sniper, and that is Jim Bob, known as Him, is a nickname in his server name as well. So Jim Bob going to the Rome Gladiators affiliate program, going to join Malmo along with Nils Godlander and Willie Ruth. So three forward selections here. They do enter the draft with one defenseman affiliate, so they will need one more. But they're stocking the cupboard of forwards here early on first. And that's going to throw the Albuquerque Pharaohs up on the clock here. All right.
Evan, I don't think his nickname is him. I think it's he's him. Like the like he's that guy type of he is
Right.
him, rather than
Gotcha.
him just being the nickname.
Fair enough. Yeah, I just saw him in all caps in his Discord name, and I forgot how it was introduced, but nonetheless, a good selection there. Somebody who has been active early, was mocked pretty late in the draft, or in the mock early today. I don't remember where Mick Ross had him mocked, but I remember him talking about it in the chats. Was a little bit slighted. Yeah, looking at it, it looks like 6th round, maybe 66th overall. So way off there on the so-called expert, as he goes number 16. You'd think that's gotta please him a little bit, or maybe he's gonna say that 15 mistakes were made before. Definitely a good selection of an active member here, and we've got about 3 minutes and 40 seconds, give or take, left on the Albuquerque pick. And Squibs, I'll kick it over to you. Do you have any thoughts on how the draft's going so far? Any general observations? I got a league thing here to take a look at.
Yeah, that's a great timing because there may be something hitting your inbox here in just a second. So you know, um, made it a little challenging on timing, but overall, I think draft is going well. So Evan, you go handle the league stuff that you need to do. I will do my best to keep the show afloat and not let it fall to the Sharks. It's not like the Sharks could win at anything if that happened, but that'll be my only Turku joke hopefully of the night. So no, while we wait on Albuquerque, I think this is another pick that they got out of the same trade, if I'm not mistaken, from Boston/Melbourne. So we're still seeing yet again another player that will be produced out of that trade, and at the end of the day, I think Cam will be very happy with how that all played out, and seeing some of these names that are still available on the board is awesome nonetheless. Some of the guys that we were targeting early on still being available. Guys that we were looking at 7, still being here is, awesome for us. Something that, we, are hopeful. We got, I think 3 picks before us. So hopeful that they fall this way. But, nonetheless, we just got to wait and see. So, Evan, any chance that you're back yet, or are you still handling, everything else? So.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at the one you sent yet. The other one's got some more pressing ramifications. So maybe let's bring in. Yeah, you want to?
Yeah, I'll bring somebody in, Evan.
Bring in an interview.
Yeah.
One of the commissioners.
I was going to ask if CGQ was available.
Hey, yeah, I'm available.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good. How about you guys?
Good. I'll try not to get you fired this year.
You did your best last year.
Thank you. How are you? How you feeling about this draft?
I'm loving it so far. A lot going on, so I apologize if I'm out there. I'm in the middle of a couple trade talks right now, but I'm loving it. I got my man, with Captain Burnout here. Really excited to have him on our team. And just looking forward to the future that we have. Sorry.
Yeah. I guess you want to talk a little bit about why he is your man.
Just looking over at I'm a huge archetype and sorry attribute type of guy. And just looking him over, everything looks great. His speed, his shooting, for his overall right now, it looks like someone that we can develop and play Tennessee hockey and join us up here in the big leagues. Not sure when we're going to have an open spot, hopefully soon for him. But hey, I think he's going to excel and he's going to be excellent down in Iceland.
Well, thank you. I will let you get back to your trade talks. While we're still waiting on this pick to pop in, I will. Yeah, thank you. I'll call up on Brownstone. Actually, no, I won't call on Brownstone. I remember now. Potty, you available?
Yes, I am. Hey, how's it going, Squibs?
Good to have you back on here already. It was asked of me by Evan just a few moments ago about drafting from the minors teams that Do you want to talk a little bit about that and the Prince pick?
Yeah, Prince, one of such an opportunity to build relationships with people in the minors and see people develop just at like the precipice of like what can be greatness in the careers ahead of them in Gohls. So with Prince, to be honest, like we didn't have like a super strong relationship, but I think we had a sense of mutual respect. And I remember clipping clips for him, and also just kind of keeping track of his stats and his growth. And hopefully that provided value to him. I hope to, provide a stats package to the pro team as well as the minor team is kind of what I'm hoping to bring as like a competitive edge as an owner now. But real happy with Key Ray Prince, as somebody pointed out, is the correct pronunciation, and hopefully I pronounced that right as well. But super happy and grateful for this one to fall our way.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I hope everything continues to work out for you. While we're still waiting, to see what develops, I can see, Evan with the working look on his face. I'll keep letting him work away. So, yeah. Got a little bit of discussion going on about a possible prospect interview. So here in a few, we might have an interview, an interview with a prospect that was recently taken. Just had to respond to that real quick. But yeah, this is interesting. Not used to having long periods of delay. Evan, I see you go on mute there.
Hey Squibs, why don't you steer your team again?
Evan?
What was that?
Oh, Evan, I was asking you if there was any updates, or if you were back by chance.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of a hiccup in a trade that involves the current pick, so there's just a bit of a pause on the clock while we figure out what the plan is, I guess, on that. But in the meantime, yeah, that's still getting sorted out. But with you, obviously, you have a trade coming up. We'll announce that in a couple minutes. But with a cluster of picks, is there any sort of thought process that's maybe different for you when you have 2 or 3 picks back to back compared to having picks more spread out? Does it change your draft strategy at all, Squibs?
Yeah, I think it causes almost more, a sense of like urgency slash pressure, for we have a list of guys that we want, and ultimately, knowing that we might not be able to get who we want, and trying to make some of these decisions on the fly to a degree, which is nice to have these this few I guess moments that we can burn away at the first of our clock, and while we work on other stuff that we need to. So especially we already know the one pick, but yeah, I think to a degree it adds more pressure to just try to hope that we get who we were wanting. So Evan, after a bit of delay, first pick in the second round is in. You want to announce it?
Yeah, so obviously that trade, like I said, there's a bit of a hiccup, so it did fall through. With that, Albuquerque has selected a forward by the name of relatively late. Neil Rivers going to Albuquerque here to start off the second round. Hopefully my voice. And that puts the San Diego Reapers back on the clock. I'm just
Well, it sounds like we might have lost Evan for a moment, which is perfect timing, I guess, with San Diego going on the clock. So while we're waiting possibly for Evan to come back around, Evan, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Cut out there for a moment.
Perfect.
So yeah, if anybody wasn't sure on what Evan was saying, Albuquerque took Neil Rivers with that last pick, which put the San Diego Reapers onto the clock. Evan, I'll kick it back to you as I have some DMs to answer to.
Yeah, for sure. Neil Rivers is a newer person to the league, I believe. Not a prospect that's I know a ton about. I don't think he played in the minors at all last season. Just got one more trade here coming in, trying to get that approved. But yeah, with San Diego coming up on the clock, this is their first pick of the draft, and they have no affiliates as of right now. So they can really go any direction they want. Obviously with the run on defense early on, they might go that way. But I'll announce the trade here now. We do have a trade for a pick that's a couple of picks away. I hope you guys can still hear me, but perfect. So Florence and Tennessee engaged in a trade here. And that is Florence getting the best of Copenhagen or Redwater's second round pick in season 7, so a conditional second round pick there from Tennessee next season. And Tennessee gets the 5th pick of the second round in this season's draft. So that'll be the 21st overall selection, so about 4 picks away. Tennessee will get that from Florence. It was an extra pick for Florence after some other moves earlier. And with that, and we wait for San Diego with 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Squibs, are you back from your DMs or still bouncing around there?
Bouncing around, but I believe I am back. Oh, never mind. I am back out of it again.
Fair enough. Doug, Doug doesn't talk, but he is a godsend in a way. He just gave me a talking point here. The draft in the first round was very balanced in the end. It felt very defense heavy, but it ended up being 8 defensemen and 8 forwards going in the first round. 4 centers, 3 left wings, 1 right wing. So 4 centers and 4 wingers for 8 total forwards, 2 left defensemen and 6 right defensemen for 8 total defensemen. So pretty balanced first round all around, and which is obviously great to see. San Diego with 1.5 minutes left here. I haven't seen Matt typing yet. Probably hard at work trying to decide who they're going to pick. Probably going to be me and a few picks here when I go on the clock. And Sam I'm not checking Twitch chat too often, but I just saw Sam in the Twitch chat saying he hopes that Matt times out and gets skipped. Yeah. And with the delay with the possible trade at number 17, I'm surprised that Matt's still not around to make this pick yet. A little bit of extra time for him. Nonetheless, we've got San Diego. Florence is going to be making 2 picks. Tennessee goes back on the clock here, and then Rome, and then Turku and Boston rounding out the first half of the second round here. Seeing Matt typing now with just under 40 on the clock here now, and we'll see what direction San Diego goes with their first affiliates pick of the season 6 draft. Like I said, they don't have any affiliates at the moment. Wide open, forward or defense. They can go either way. If they go defense, it'll keep the draft at an even 9-9 for forwards versus defense. They don't go defense. They go Nelly Selly, the center playmaker at number 18. They were talking in the Discord server earlier that 18 is their favorite number, and they were mocked to 18 in mock draft that came out this morning. Just said that number 18 is just chasing them around, and sure enough, goes number 18 overall here to the San Diego Reapers, going to join the Beijing Bucks, and that's going to put the Florence Firebirds on the clock for the second time in this draft, with back-to-back picks. And obviously, Squibs is going to be pretty busy there. And we've got a special guest. We got a special guest, the 4th overall selection by Honolulu. We got Captain Wicked. How you doing tonight, Wicked?
Hey guys, thanks for having me around. Appreciate you guys on here. Pretty excited about this draft. Pretty pumped to be joining Honolulu here.
Yeah, congrats on the fourth overall selection. I guess first, did you have any expectations going into the draft? Anywhere you thought you might end up, or was it just kind of wide open? Didn't really know where you were going to go.
Well, yes and no. I know I was going to go kind of early with the conversation I was having with the owners and GMs, and then earlier today, the Albuquerque reached out saying they were going to go a different way with their pick because they wanted a forward, which kind of made sense. And I love the Corcoran pick on second. He was a Snowhawk this year, so I saw him play with me this year, loved it. And then I figured from there I would either go third or fourth, maybe fifth. And then I was pretty pumped with Honolulu. So yeah, pretty pumped about this.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen you in a number of sim leagues lately. Kind of trash talking with myself and Squibs here and there. But what's your sim league count up to at the moment?
I can't say the real number. My wife's watching on the other side, so if I say the right number, I don't know if I'll be okay. But yeah, it's kind of high. I'm gonna say in between 5 and 10. So it's just out there. But yeah, I've been enjoying these so much, and just I just really like these. The communities around and whatever we can do is I just really like this a lot.
Awesome. Yeah, these leagues are a ton of fun to be a part of. Usually have great communities in here. So yeah, I'm glad to see you joining so many. Um, and, and I see Squibs working the phone lines here, the trade lines again. So far, so I don't know how long you've been in sim leagues here, Wicked, but is this your first like true live draft experience, or have you had other leagues that have done something like this before?
Well, I've had a few sim leads, but not with players and each and like user having their own. Player was more like, hey, here's a bunch of NHL players. You draft them, make your own teams, and we sim from there. So this was actually a lot different for me. I learned a lot. Like you, Scribs, Creed helped me out a lot. Anybody else who I didn't shout out, they're just always in their DMs asking a bunch of questions. So I really appreciate you guys' help. And yeah, because of you guys, I'm pretty sure that's why I got up so high. So I'm shouting out and I'm kissing butts, just to make sure I get everyone out there.
Yeah, activity is huge in these leagues and these drafts. Obviously, if you aren't active, you're not going to progress, not going to help your team. But yeah, definitely a deserving of a high selection. And Squibs, I know you're busy, but before we let Wicked go, did you have any questions here for the fourth overall pick?
No, I am so sorry.
Yeah, you're good, Strips. That's perfect. You
No
were a
worries.
little bit too nice with me there. You were pumping me up a little bit there. I had a hard time going through the door. My head was so big. So let's keep that to a minimum for the rest of the season, huh?
I'll do my best. I'll make sure Tokyo destroys you every chance that they can get. So
Perfect. Well,
with
thanks for
love.
having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for being on, and yeah, good luck this season, and good luck, in the PXF draft and any other drafts you got coming up in the next week or so.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
All right, take care. All right, let's see. Got some more trades coming in here. I see Scurvy in the voice chat. Is Scurvy talking tonight, or just here listening? I don't know if Dave knows the answer to that either. Gonna assume no. How about Shaboy Sean? 0 for 2 here. All right. Uh, he's a GM for Redwater. One of the trades coming in. Yeah, they've had yeah, Coco, are you available to hop on here? I know you're making a trade. I don't know how tied up you are at the moment, but are you able to hop on here and maybe talk little bit about that selection of Hex Waters and the draft?
Oh God, yeah, sure. Hex Waters, great guy. Wouldn't be involved in anything we're discussing completely right now. He's no, I mean we always look for guys who are involved in Discord and involved in in the chats during the games, and people that we may know from other leagues. And Hex is actually on a couple teams with me as well. So it's just, it's trying to get people that we know are involved and can get involved with this league, and build something there, and then try to hit the diamond in the rough a little bit later on.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess speaking of people getting involved in the league, obviously you have another role on top of your GM duties as a player. Did you want to talk a little bit about what that means to you, and I guess for any new players being drafted?
Yeah, I mean, it's especially like even to the draft. One of the things I look at is people have approached me and even talked about possibly trading players and having them go to a lower role. And while I know it's a strategy of a team, it's one of those things as a player rep. You kind of want to look out for also some of the best interests of the players of the league itself. And it takes a lot of work to hit that major level. And when they hit that level, you kind of want to make sure um, that they're able to sit there and enjoy it for a while. So those are like some of the things I think as a player rep is you kind of look for is the owners and the GMs kind of put themselves at, looking for the team's best interest sometimes, and some do a good job looking for their players' best interest. But you know, David Leathers and I really try to look for any problems that we see or potential loopholes that may cause players frustration or troubles down the road in the league.
Yeah, and it's a great role to have. Obviously, like as people running teams, we do our best to look out for the players, especially running the league and stuff like that. But it's easy to kind of overlook certain aspects, and it's good to just have that extra check in place for sure. So yeah, thank you for coming on here, and good luck the rest of the way in this draft. And yeah, maybe we'll talk a little bit more later on, or good luck this season.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so we got Florence's pick is in here. Sorry if I'm a little bit distracted here. We got the trade flurries going on here on the show. But Florence has selected Shad Allen, right wing sniper, going to Florence, and by extension, the Tokyo Tigers. Working on just trying to catch up on the other trades here. All right, so we're missing one approval there, but I think we'll just have to go ahead and announce it that Las Vegas, but via on the clock now. There's the other approval we needed. So Las Vegas here after a trade with Florence. All right, Squids. Well, I get caught up here. I don't know how tied up you are at the moment, but you just made 2 trades in a.
Yeah, Evan made 2 trades in the draft. That was definitely not the plan coming into it. And as I mentioned, just briefly a few moments ago, talking about, having, back to back, even possibly back to back picks, having guys that, was high on our board and hoping that we get them all. Jim Bob was high on our board. Neil Rivers was high on our board. Nelly Sally was a very high on our board. And part of the reason why that San Diego pick took a while is we were trying to possibly trade up to grab him. But Shad Allen was on our list, and we are very happy that we got him. And this trade was the Vegas trade, I should say. Was definitely kind of sprung on there at the last moment, but we're putting a package deal together. Hopefully, just waiting for a pick to come in. So. We're happy that played out. And then the 21st pick traded over to Tennessee. Coming into the draft, we knew that we were going to be able to use that, again, that 8th affiliate. And due to some people checking out right during the draft, it made it challenging and kind of sprung us into having to make a trade that we kind of knew, coming into it a little bit, but had to, work through all the details. So, I think it's interesting that there's, I would say probably less trades happening in this draft than there is than there has been in the past. But Evan, any thoughts on draft day trades and how it all goes?
Yeah, obviously there's a lot.
How it all.
Oh, it just got a bit of a. You got him now. Okay. Yeah. So we. Yeah. I guess draft day trades. So obviously there's quite just came in all at once. It's not. I guess that many at once. Usually, actually, the day leading up is kind of the busier time for these types of trades, but got a few here at once on air, and it has to happen quicker during the draft because a lot of times it impacts picks happening right away, and there's a lot proving a trade on. So speaking of trades, I do have another one to announce. You can haywire. Um,
Evan, I am not
Can you hear me?
sure. I can hear you now. I'm not sure if you were talking about a trade to be announced. I'm not sure if it's the one that's the one on the clock or a different trade. If it is a different trade, I do not know those details. But if you're back, let's try to run it again.
all right, can you hear me now? All right, so hopefully that's better now. We've got Las Vegas's selection is in. It is right defense Eric.
All right. Yeah. So we
Eric
so
Belmont.
Vegas Eric Belmont with the fourth overall pick in the second round there. That now puts Tennessee onto the clock. Evans with his mic trouble. So yes, Eric Belmont. Yeah, as mentioned, kind of cryptically just a few moments prior, Belmont being a part of that package deal with Knuckle Puck, as they shared in the chat earlier. To get trying to remember, Puck's size, I believe, was 6'9", and here's somewhere. Yeah, 6'9", 290 pounds, and Eric Belmont 6'7", 250 pounds. Both enforcer defensemen. That blue line for Tokyo is just going to be a massive size again. I think it's going to have a lot of hits and hopefully injure a few of the other guys. So, yeah, that's that. While Evan's having technical difficulties, I will announce the fifth pick that just came in, and then we'll have a special interview with a season 1 vet. So, with the fifth overall pick, the Tennessee Black Bears select offensive defenseman David Donut, which now puts Rome on the clock. Looking at this pick beforehand, Donut, as mentioned, offensive defenseman. Another guy that seemed very active, a solid build. We'll probably call in CGQ later on or Biff to talk about the pick. But first up, let's get to the interview with Travis Webster. Travis, are you there?
Hey, Scribbles, how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, Scribbles, how's
How
it
are
going?
you? I'm good.
Hey, good.
How are you?
Good, dude. Thank you for having me on. And by the way, I just want to say this is a great show. I'm blown away by all the graphics and the professionalism of it. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Definitely give a shout out there to Dave Axis. Well deserved for doing a lot of the graphic and design work. You've been around since season 1. You have, I believe, a role there in Turku's front office, but I know Evan runs a lot of the things over there. How have you enjoyed its league and its growth? So he messaged me saying that he had a hard time hearing me, but
I'm having a hard time hearing you. But I'm seeing that you're PMing me a couple of questions. So when I first joined the league, I think it was four teams, six teams. I was on the Calgary Flames with Escola, and obviously at that point, no one had any idea what was to be expected with the growth that came pretty quickly. And I remember Cregan asked me to join. Um, and at first, we really thought that it was just going to be like a smaller thing. I thought it was just going to be our little group from the different fantasy leagues we're in. But it's kind of amazing to see the growth that the league has gone through, and just the amount of people that are joining and are active. And it's just really awesome to see.
well, thank you. Happy to have been a flame with you for that first season. So, any expectations or hope for Turku in season 6?
Yeah.
So in regards to Turkey for season 6, it was a bit of a heartbreaker this past year, the past couple of years really. Um, we have full trust in management. We have full trust in the coaching staff um, to get through a couple of the harder times to get to the brighter times, and I'm feeling really good. I like where our defense is at. We've obviously made a couple big additions the past couple off seasons, and while we don't have a lot of draft picks this year, um, until later in the draft, I really like where we're at as an organization, and I just recently signed the extension with the Turkey Fins to just really show my confidence in the organization and my confidence in Escola to get us to where we need to be.
Well, thank you, Travis, for jumping on and talking about it. Talking about Escola, I'm going to kick it over to him as we have a trade to announce.
Yeah, I hope you guys can hear me all right now. So we've got a trade for the 6th pick of the 2nd round, and that is going to the Boston Buccaneers in exchange for the 8th pick of the 2nd round. And I'm just sorting through all my notifications. There was another piece to that as well. A season 8 second going from Boston to Rome in compensation there. And Squibs, I'll kick it back to you while I sort out who I'm going to draft. If you would like to announce the Boston selection.
Yeah, so with the 6th pick here in the 2nd round, the Boston Buccaneers select enforcer defenseman Jeremy Perry IV, which now puts Turku Fins onto the clock with the, I believe, 23rd pick of this draft. So looking here at Perry IV, as mentioned, enforcer defenseman, 5'9", 228 pounds, 63 overall. So, I know that Boston has added, quite a few defensemen in this past free agency class. And so, getting some youth probably in their pipes, is a good thing for them. And I know Shaboy Sean is in the chat. I'm not sure if he's available. Sean, are you able to jump on and talk about the pick?
I believe I am. I don't know. Is my mic working any better than Evan's, or? All right, just wait.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So we had an extra season 8 second, and I'm running out of patience. So I figured it wasn't that much of a cost to move up 2 picks, and I was worried that Perry wouldn't be there at 8. So as soon as Rome posts up there looking to move down, it just made sense for us to move up.
Yeah, so you came in into the off season without, I believe, a 1st round pick. Do you want to talk about some of the other trades and free agent signings that you made this off season?
Yeah, so let's see. I honestly need to pull up my roster to keep track of it because there was a whole lot of spinning pieces. But I came to the off season with a lot of pieces locked into place, but I also knew that I wanted to get older. So talking to some teams that were running into cap hell, I was able to move out a lot of these guys that were on cheap, controllable deals, and then let me bring in, Portman, DeMore on Mello, which I had only had one free agent defense opening coming in, and then I'm able to bring in the three of them. So I hadn't really planned on fleshing out the minors with my picks because my coverage had kind of been left there by my previous owners. But some more of these trades that kept spinning got me at first, which is what I used to get Corker. And then a lot of it since then has just been spinning affiliates that I had for picks, knowing that I'd be able to get guys that I still like later on in the draft.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Best of luck next season and for the rest of the draft. I see Evan is typing. Just want to take a gander here that he might go with a forward. I have absolutely no clue what they might be actually looking at, as they have 2 forwards, no defensemen. And with that, the pick is actually in. Evan, you want to announce your pick?
Yeah, so we've got a offensive defenseman, and it's going to be Anthony Simmons coming to Turku with the 7th pick of the 2nd round. Somebody we see in other leagues quite often, very active over there. So great addition to our locker room, I think, and I think he'll be good for Malmo moving forward. And with that, the Rome Gladiators are on the clock after trading back. Kind of interesting. Boston pretty much did that trade to leapfrog us in Turku, and we had a few names we were looking at, and Perry was probably one of them. So might have been a good pick, or might have been a good trade. I'm not sure for sure which way we would have gone, but Perry was definitely high on my board, and I think him sliding this late is a bit of a surprise in my opinion. But what do you think about that, and just in general, players sliding in past drafts, their Squibs?
Yeah, looking at past drafts, some of these players, maybe they joined, more recently, or maybe they've been here for a little bit, but they're a little quieter. It's always hard to tell, to a degree, on how well a player is going to play on the ice. You might have one season where a sniper in the pros puts up the same points as a power forward or something, and then the very next season is in the top 4 for goals. So it's definitely hard to tell, or from season to season, even, how a player might play, but on the ice, that is. But, finding, very solid picks and pieces that develop out of the later rounds, looking back, guys like David Hume for you, Ray Raymond for us, there's value for these guys who are slipping later. And as I mentioned, it could just be, joining later, or, maybe not talking as much as somebody else, or team build. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with slipping later. And if I'm not mistaken, the, first round retention rate isn't as great as people might think it is. So what are your thoughts, Evan?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, there's award winners taken at any stage of the draft. They can be first rounders, they can be, late round picks. Obviously, like you mentioned, Hume for us. Our season 1 MVP was Amelia Rose, was taken in like the 9th round or 6th round or something like that. I'm blanking right now on the exact round, but I know Ren Lysander, runner up for that award, was 10th round pick. So it doesn't just because you're taken late doesn't mean you're not going to be in the running for awards. We've seen it happen, and like you said, the retention rate for first rounders, it's usually when the active players go in most drafts, so it might be a tad higher than the other rounds, but it's pretty much level across the board, I think, in terms of retention rates, aside from maybe the last round or two when, a couple people that haven't been the most active maybe get taken. But yeah, I think taking guys or girls any point in the draft can really pay dividends for you here as well. With that, there's a selection for Rome. Did you want to go ahead and announce that there, Squibs?
Yeah, this pick, some might call it a bad pick, others might call it a breaking bad pick. Rome would call it a defenseman Walter White pick. So yes, Rome takes Walter White and with the 8th pick in the 2nd round, which puts Redwater on the clock now for 2 picks. Evan, you want to talk about Walter White and take it away from me before I make any more bad puns?
Yeah, Walter White. There's a little red tick next to his name on the draft board if that's up, but that's just because he joined so late, right before the draft. His name's not actually in the file that I'm using, so definitely a late joiner. But sometimes like activity and old relationships matter. I know we did have a VHL ad out there, and Triple H came from the VHL, so there could be a connection there. Definitely an interesting pick, but one that could easily pan out for Rome moving forward. And we've got Redwater. I don't know if I've actually announced this pick. I think it came in, or this trade, when it came in when I was dealing with my mic issues. But so if you're confused why Redwater has 2 picks here, they traded Hex Waters, who they selected in the first round. They traded him for the second. For the ninth pick of the second round, and a season 8 first and season 8 second. So Albuquerque going to give up a first and a second in season 8, as well as the 25th overall pick here to go ahead and acquire the 10th overall pick of Hex Waters. So kind of a big move there. Squibs, did you have any thoughts on that as Redwater goes on the clock?
Yeah. Totally lost the entire train of thought I had there, Evan. I am so sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, just thoughts on the trade here. The 10th overall pick, Hex Waters, was traded to Albuquerque in exchange for the 25th overall pick and a first and second in season 8. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think this is a great trade. For probably both sides. Albuquerque probably has a reason why they were willing to give up first and a second and 15 spots essentially in the draft to take this or trade for Hex Waters. So and it's a good deal for Redwater as they're able to pick up a little extra picks and be able to redraft somebody right here right now. So I think it's a good deal for both sides for whatever their entire goals actually are.
Yeah, it's not often you see somebody traded right after the pick, but I'm assuming that means Albuquerque probably hoped they could get Hex at 17 overall and wasn't able to do it. So did you want to go ahead and announce that pick of Redwater's first selection here?
Yeah, so with the 9th overall pick, they take 2-way defenseman Jesse Pinkman. Evan, you want to talk about Pinkman?
Yeah, it's another late, and I've even spelt his name wrong here. It's another late joiner here, another one that's going to have that red tick on the draft board, just because it's not in my export data here, but definitely interesting to see. And this is kind of the time in the draft where we've seen in past drafts teams start to take the chances on the people who just joined, and kind of take that risk where the first round is where the people with the proven activity tend to go. The mid second is kind of where we start to see players who maybe are newer to the league but have previous connections or have made great first impressions. And with that, a big pick in my opinion here, a late joiner to the league before the draft, but one with a history here. Squibs, did you want to go ahead and announce that selection?
Yeah, with the 10th pick here in the second round, Redwater selects left wing sniper Otis Bedreau, a former owner here in the league who took some time away and who was returned. That now puts Turku onto the clock. So Evan, I'll let you take a step away and maybe we'll call on Coco if he's available to talk about these 2 picks here and as well as the trade. Coco, you available?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, we've seen those VHL guys come in, and they've been pretty reliable. Jesse just joined, not too long ago. So really, I think we talked about it before. We want to take a chance on guys. So he was excited when he came in and right away made a defenseman, and it's not something you see. Right before, I had, you know, who Turco took was an offensive defenseman as well, and it was like they were kind of being ignored, I think, a little bit because of their size, but you know, um, I didn't really want to ignore that at that spot. And with Jess and I go way back, and I know he took some time away. I haven't even had a chance to talk to him yet, but I have such a good relationship with him that I know he's going to be involved with the league. I know he's going to be involved with the minors. If he stays with Redwater, he stays with Redwater. If he doesn't, it's not a big one. I just want him to get him on a team, have him have a home, and get him in a place where he can start getting to work right away.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Happy for both of these guys that you were able to grab here. You want to talk about the trade that you made, sending Hex Waters to Albuquerque?
Yeah, I mean the thing is, as I said, Hex was somebody that we knew, but it's also someone that Kamenev knew as well. And as soon as we made that acquisition, he thought that he could possibly sit and wait and get that Hex a little bit later, and there's a possibility that Hex might be able to come up, not this season, possibly this season or next season. He might find something for him, and that to me that's always a big selling point is trying to get people involved as soon as possible. So I pulled the trigger on that one. It gets we don't have any picks, and I'm trying to remember. Corin just loves to trade our picks as soon as he gets them, so I'm sure these will be gone within the next week anyway. But yeah, now this gives us, in case something happens. It was one of those things where we had a couple people retire, we lost a couple defensemen in the off season, and now we have something to go back and lean back on. Should we need to, we either have draft or we have stock in the draft next season, for any sort of emergency that we might have.
Fair enough. Well, congrats once again for these picks and for the trade, and hope the rest of the draft and season 6 goes well for you guys.
Thank you.
See, while we were waiting for Evan here, I'm going to play the good old Squibs guessing wrong game. So last time Squibs guessed a forward, they took a defenseman, with Evan and Turku having 2 forwards and 1 defenseman now. I'm going to go with the guess that they'll take a forward here. I'm going to go with the I have to guess that they'll take a forward, and eventually they will take a forward, and I will be right at some point. Type of vibe here. So yeah, Rose, you want to jump in, possibly share any thoughts that you might have on where Turku goes with this?
Yeah. So just looking at Malmo right now, obviously drafting for their affiliates. I'd probably say defense here. There's only sitting at 3 right now, and 2 are from Rome. They have 2 offensive defenders, so I would say probably defense or 2 AD coming up. In terms of a specific name, not too sure. Maybe a couple that come up. Maybe Franco on his offensive D. Yeah, so I don't know. I have no clue where they go on the defense. Felicity Ferrari, 6'9", 280. That would be a big defensive style. But other than that, maybe Nick Abbott, an enforcer there.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for jumping in, sharing your thoughts. Evan, you want to announce this pick and see if the forward or the defenseman guess was right?
Yeah, so we went ahead and took, we did talk about the defenseman, like you guys talked about, but we saw JT Ginn available and could not pass it up. So we went ahead with center / left winger, JT Ginn. He's a sniper, really active person. I've talked to him in DMs quite a bit, and in Twitch chat and things like that. He's always there. So, we couldn't pass that up and had to take JT Ginn. That's going to put Miami on the clock here, as the picks are starting to come in hot and heavy, but we'll give that a few seconds. What are your thoughts on the addition of Ginn to Turku / Malmo there, Squibs?
When I was looking at the draft board and seeing, who is still available and, who, I guess, who is available and, what you guys, might be looking at. Ginn was the name that popped out. There was a couple other names that made me lean that you were going to take it forward, just because, Ginn's, another active guy who, I think it's going to fit right into Turku. And, as much as it pains me to say, I think he has a couple of good snipers over there that he can look up to and take some notes from, maybe a guy like Hume or Bolton, maybe that Escula guy or something, can share a note with him or two on sniping talent. Evan, back to you.
We're pretty thrilled with it. Looking forward to welcoming him to the organization as well. Let's go ahead and announce that Miami selection. And that is left defenseman, two-way defenseman, Jordan Bowling. Another Warsaw tie, I believe, with Potty there, picking in Miami. And that's going to put Jacksonville up on the clock. First time we get to see their on the clock graphic here. What are your thoughts on the Bowling selection there, Squibs?
One might, say that it's a strike. But I'll spare you any more of the puns. Maybe not. Anyways, no, it's a very solid pick. Very solid build, two-way defenseman. Two-way players overall tend to start, a little bit lower in terms of overall, but that's I think partially because there's not one set skill that they exceed in. The whole main emphasis of being a two-way forward is being good or being solid at least on the offensive side and on the defensive side. So Bowling already is a 58 overall, so got some room to grow, but already a solid start for a two-way defenseman.
Yeah, for sure. Did you want to go ahead and announce the Vipers pick?
Yeah, so with the 13th pick here in the second round, the Jacksonville Vipers select C. Dimp, left defenseman, which now puts San Diego on the clock. Evan, break down the C. Dimp pick.
Yeah, this was another name I looked at, a few picks ago when I said we looked heavily at a lot of defensemen, and then the name Ginn popped off the sheet to us. But definitely a great pick here. Left defenseman. I think a two-way, if I'm not mistaken. I might have that wrong. It is a two-way. Two-way defensemen. They didn't get a lot of love early on in the league's history, but a couple seasons later, I think people realized the value of the two-way defense build. And some of our top defensemen in the league now are two-way defensemen, and I think it's a great pick here for Jacksonville. Iceland won the cup last season in the minors, and I think that they're just setting them up to do more of the same and have a lot more success. Again, next season obviously has a big threat in that minor league to repeat. Did you want to go ahead and announce the San Diego selection?
Yeah,
picks are flying in now.
The 14th pick here in the second round, San Diego takes center DeMarcus Watson. Right? I read that right. Yes, which now puts Norfolk onto the clock. I don't know if Matt knows how to read, but DeMarcus Watson is listed as a two-way forward. Matt put him down as a power forward. So, Evan, you wanna talk about DeMarcus Watson and two-way forward / power forward?
Somebody who's quite active as well. Rose kind of teased me a little bit about it in the draft chat earlier, but this is one that I have to say I'm not too surprised to see San Diego make this selection. DeMarcus Watson, somebody that Matt has ties to, good friends there. He drafted him in the PXF last in the startup draft of PXF, so definitely a great pick there for San Diego. Somebody that he knows well, able to get him here late at the 30th overall pick. That's got to make Matt feel pretty good. Bringing in a couple active members here at number 18 and 30. So We'll see what the Norfolk Navigators do here, and it looks like the pick is actually in if you want to take that one away there, Squibs.
Actually, I'll throw this fastball right back to you.
All right. So we've got all right, we got Sam's first pick. I know he was a little annoyed with the timing of the draft and the NFL announcing the Packers kickoff right around the same time, but he's here to make the pick anyway, and that is left winger, power forward Harry Chetta, going at number 31. This was, he's got a low overall number, like based on overall rating, but that's not very like that doesn't tell the whole story, I guess is the point. And great addition, I think, to the Norfolk organization. Going to play for San Diego. As we see, Jacksonville's back on the clock. And I said San Diego. I was looking at San Diego. He's going to play for Wellington in the minors. And I believe Harry Chetta is also Berkey Dingleberry from PXF, if I'm not mistaken. And he's in a bunch of other leagues. So definitely a great addition here for Norfolk and and Sam. And Chewy's keeping the count. I'm at 5 out of 6. Saw it coming. Mentions he set the over under at 5.5. So we'll see if we hit the over. But with that, Jacksonville makes a pick to round out the second round. And that's going to throw Boston on the clock here in just a moment. This pick is going to be enforcer defenseman Nick Abbott going to Jacksonville. Squibs, I'll kick it back over to you. Any thoughts on Harry Chetta or Nick Abbott? These selections here to round out round number 2.
Yeah, did we put Boston on the clock for round 3? If not, Boston is now on the clock for round 3. No, looking at the Twitch chat there for a moment, I see Cheddar, say, wait, I miss it. And then he said, grr, not Trunan, which, I feel very much is, a mood. And, I play for Trunan over in Saville, and there's a reason that I guess I'm taking an expansion team. Kidding, of course, I love Trunan, so other than him being a Packers fan. But no, I think it's, a fantastic pick, another, active guy. And, I think looking, at his build and, I might turn, a couple of teams away, just having to try to develop a power forward. But as somebody who is a power forward themselves, it's definitely worth it in the long run. Just might miss the net a couple of times, as, Scurvy can talk about. Evan, you want to talk about the Boston pick, or I guess announce the Boston pick and then talk about it?
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully the Google sheet moved over well enough here as we move into round 3, and that is Boston Buccaneers selecting two-way defenseman Chase Strausser. I believe he's got ties to Nate Ironsides there as we see Honolulu go on the clock. I think Nate brought so many people into the league this season. And coaching Vancouver at the time, asking me a lot for what he could do to get his friends. We didn't make them all work out, but we did get a couple of his buddies into the Whales, and I think that was one of them. But definitely good to see players. If that is the case, definitely good to see players end up somewhere where they have an existing connection and can kind of lean on that as they start out their careers. Should be a nice addition to the Whales blue line as well. Squibs, any thoughts on that? And then if you want to take that Honolulu pick announcement. I know we might be moving too fast for Dave. I don't know, but picks are coming in hot and heavy here.
I don't know if we're moving too fast for Dave, but we might be moving a little quick for Doug, trying to work on some of the back end stuff. Trying to update the roster sheet for all of us owners who are and GMs who are trying to follow along with the make our draft picks. Going to try to stall a little bit. So Strausser, another good pick. Boston once again. As Sean mentioned too earlier. Just trying to add up a little bit of their team again. As their pro team got a little bit older, trying to get a little bit younger here in this draft. So grabbing guys that, might be able to hang out in the minors for a season or two. develop and then be able to make that jump to the pro ranks. Evan, back to you for the Honolulu pick.
Yeah, so Honolulu at the second pick of the third round, 34th overall, are going to be picking Ellis Wolfenden, a center sniper. Going, I think he played for the Bucks last season. He's going to be joining the Snowhawks there as a Honolulu affiliate. So a nice selection there. Somebody who's active, and I saw him talking in Discord not long before the draft kicked off here. So definitely a nice pick here, and we're going to see the Navigators back on the clock. We'll see whose knight Trunin ruins next by selecting them. Any thoughts on the Wolfenden selection there?
Yeah,
Scripps?
wow. Thanks. I guess I got demoted to Sam now.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, Wolfenden, solid build already. Solid speed for a minors player at this point. I can definitely see him, making a kind of a transition to a wing. Players we see with a lot of center snipers end up making that transition to a wing, as we've noticed throughout Gohls history. A little bit easier to score on the wing as a sniper, and they start off with a bit lower of face-off skill comparatively to some of the other builds. So, ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if Wolfenden makes the kind of transition over to being, a scoring winger, which is probably something that Brownstone is after there in Honolulu.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I talk to a lot of my young sniper centers that I pick up and kind of convert them to wings just for the first little bit, just until they get that face-off skill up, and then move them back to center. It's just more beneficial to their, I think, career and their performance early on to play wing for the first little while and then move back into the middle. Just the way I see things, how they develop, and a big name there for people in the sim community. Taken at number 3 of the third round. Did you want to go ahead and announce the Trunin? Norfolk Navigator selection there, Squibs. I almost did it again.
Yeah, no, this is, as you mentioned, Norfolk's third pick here in the third round is left wing sniper Merle McGuire, another player who is active and, as you mentioned already, is well known across quite a few of the sim leagues. So, this now puts North Bay onto the clock. Evan, you want to talk about McGuire and his rough future that he now has as an affiliate there of Sam's?
Yeah, it's a sad. He was excited for today, but it's kind of sad he had to be taken by Trunin. No, I'm just playing, of course. But Merle, I know him best from Brew Crew. I know he's in a bunch of other leagues probably as well, but I know him from the ESL Racing League. He's co-owner with Kozak of the Brew Crew, which is the team I currently drive for over there. And he just seems like a stand-up guy over there. Definitely a good locker room addition. Always posting in that server and chatting and posting updates and stuff like that. And I know he's got some goats as well that he posts pictures of his goats over there too. So definitely a good guy, an interesting guy, and I think a nice addition for the Navigators affiliate program. And we'll see what North Bay does. This is the first time North Bay's been on the clock here for the Mallards. Any thoughts on where they're going? I think they only have the one forward affiliate at the moment. So really the floor is wide open for which way they want to take this.
Yeah, Fletcher Reed, recently has taken over as of the start of last year, and it was kind of after that, deadline of making organizational, facelifts and such. And this season when the relocations took place, he moved up to North Bay, giving the league their first Canadian team. Which is definitely something interesting that Florida had 2 teams and Italy had 2 teams, but Canada had 0 teams. of the pro teams at least. So, looking at this and looking at the roster, they have Fletcher Reed, they have Don Fletcher. I think the most fitting fit would be Donovan Fletcher. But I definitely can see them going in a different direction since I believe Donovan Fletcher joined just recently. So, Evan, thoughts?
Yeah, you mentioned first Canadian team. Obviously, the league did have two previously, but once we went to custom teams, they all moved out. And now they finally do have a Canadian pro team again, despite there being many Canadian owners. This is the only pro team currently located in Canada. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do here. I know that their alternate jerseys reflect their Boston Work Unicorns history, so that's always good to see. But definitely an interesting little factoid you mentioned there that we didn't have any Canadian teams, even though we have a number of Canadian owners. And with that, the first selection of the rebranded North Bay Mallards is the 36th overall pick, and that is right defenseman Franco Fantenberg. And that's going to throw the San Diego Reapers up on the clock. And before I throw it back to you there, Squibs, real quick talking point from Doug. Again, he helped us out after round one when we were running out of things to talk about with that delay. And threw the talking point again. Round 2, 8 forwards, 8 defensemen again for the second round in a row. And now actually, looking at round 3, we've got 2 forwards and 2 defensemen as well. So what do you think about the balance that we're seeing here early on into, I guess as we approach kind of halfway through this draft, just about?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting that how it's played out with at this point 18 and 18, if my math served me properly. But as we all know, math is not my strong suit. But yeah, I think this kind of breaks away from the discussions that we've had in the past that defense or forwards or in years past, we've seen kind of each draft being dominated a little bit more heavily by those, and part of that's just on team need. And I think there was a lot of teams that had open affiliate spots this time around, so some of them are grabbing guys that they know from other spots like Norfolk, and others are trying to stock their cupboards of quality players that might be very beneficial on the ice that they can kind of help coach and train along the way. So this is very interesting that we're at exact same amount, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the draft goes.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to think. Like, obviously, with the defensemen, with the way positions work, obviously, you'd expect maybe 60% forwards, but obviously, defensemen being such a, there's that requirement and such an important position in a lot of ways. It makes sense to see it closer to that 50-50 split here early on, and then we'll probably see kind of the forwards running the gauntlet towards the end. But we've dunked on Trunin a few times tonight. Maybe we'll take it easy on him. We'll dunk on Matt again. We always like to tease Matt. And earlier this week, Sam and I were both trying to talk to him about PXF trades and things like that, and he wasn't answering either of us in DMs. And now he's dragging out the clock on his pick here for the second time. We're only about halfway through his clock. I thought it was a little longer, but where do you think San Diego is going to go here with their selection, their Squibs?
I am pulling up their team list right now. They have 2 forwards and no defensemen, assuming that this list is up to date. So I got to assume that they're going to go defense here, considering that they have to leave this draft with 2 defensemen. So, there is, a couple of guys, forwards especially, that I know that are very active. And I know if there's one thing that Matt cares about most, it's activity and being a good locker room presence. So I wouldn't be surprised if, he continues that prioritization and takes some of these forwards that he knows that at least well and are active. And maybe take a couple of guys later on in the draft from other positions that he might not know as much. And as we've already discussed multiple times, some of those players turn out to be some of the best players in the league.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, so I saw him typing for a second, but still, another minute or so left on the clock. So we'll give him his time to finish up his conversations and make his picks. And I meant to mention it earlier, in the second round when it happened. But your draft, I think your draft is done now, if I'm not mistaken, and it was done right before mine got started. What are your thoughts on the draft class and the moves that you were able to make here for Florence, and I guess how it feels to be done picking so early on in the draft with just I think 19th overall was your last pick?
Yeah. I've mentioned this, I think once maybe already on the show, and I've told a handful of others that this is one of the strongest classes that I remember. So much activity. So many guys that are active, and I wish I had more room to just bring in more people, and I wish that we had spots to hand out, because there's just so much high quality talent here. And it's nice to be done and not have to stress or try to make trades or anything like that. We love the three guys that we got. We know that they're active throughout multiple leagues, so from that aspect it's great. But like I said, it's tough to see so many high quality and guys still on the board, and as they make their way off and know that our hands are tied and we're done for the day. So speaking of one of those guys, Evan, you want to announce this pick?
Yeah, absolutely. San Diego has made their selection. It is sniping center Thaddeus Guy. If he's got French Canadian roots, that could be Guy or Guy. Either way, Thaddeus going to San Diego. That's going to throw the Tennessee Black Bears up on the clock. As we're approaching the halfway mark of the draft here, Squibs, we've got 79 total selections to be made. I think that drops down to 77, if I'm not mistaken. So we're actually right around that halfway mark. I think right now, actually, we're pretty close to it. But math is neither of our strong suits tonight. So, as we're getting close to, partway through this draft, I guess I'll point out, you guys, as the draft board goes up with each pick, you might notice the round is shorter this time compared to round two. It's going to be shorter for the next few rounds as teams are filled up, don't need any more picks, and we kind of condense the rounds down to anywhere from 5 to, or there's one round that has 1 pick in it, one round with 2 or 3 picks. So they start to get really shorter as these rounds go. But definitely interesting as we get halfway through this draft. Any initial thoughts here, Squibs, on, I guess, any names that jump out at you on who's still available if you have the list up, and people you might have thought would go earlier?
Yeah, Thaddeus Guy was one that I definitely thought was had the potential to go earlier. Guys still available that I know that are active, that I've seen their names pop up multiple times. Kai Williams, DJ Church, Jacob Buchholz. I know he joined very recently, but already he was pretty active. Jace Thompson, Orion Starr. I know Tony Ragone, Chase Fitzpatrick. The list can probably keep going on as I keep scrolling down and find more and more. Martin LaFleur. I'm going to get flamed for not knowing how to say that, but is what it is. Anyways, Evan, you want to, I guess, talk a little bit about, some of these guys that are still here, and I guess just the talent and activity and everything that we see still available on this list.
Yeah, a number of names you mentioned, big names there. Obviously, I don't know. I didn't hear every name you mentioned, but I know there's Christopher Marshall is another one out there. I don't know if you mentioned them. Kai Williams. Just a ton of really good names out there. Tommy Campbell, Tony Rigoni, a lot of people that people know from other sim leagues, but maybe whether they're newer to the league or haven't talked much in the league or whatever the case might be. Just still available in a very deep draft class. You mentioned this might be one of the best draft classes we've seen. It is up there. I think that there's a lot of really good players here. And it's very deep. I've noticed compared to other draft classes, maybe had like a couple standouts that were easily going number 1 or 2. And this one, I think there was probably 10 or 15 players that could have been that first overall pick. And, Pitts was a deserving one, but definitely a very deep draft class here in season 6. Seeing if we do have a pick here. Did you want to go ahead and announce the Black Bears selection there, Squibs?
Yeah, it's very interesting that the very first player that I listed that was still available is the next player gone. But with the 6th pick here in the 3rd round, the Tennessee Black Bears select sniping center Kai Williams, which now puts Albuquerque on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about Williams, this pick for Tennessee?
Yeah, that's back-to-back picks, I believe, from the champion Iceland Ice. Williams gets to return there as a Tennessee affiliate. Going to be playing in the purple in Iceland again, trying to repeat as a minors champ. We saw Dublin win their 2nd cup this past season, but nobody pro or minors has repeat as a champion yet. And I think that, Tennessee and Jacksonville have really put together a group of affiliates that are going to be, solid, I guess, have a solid chance to repeat for the Iceland Ice here. Obviously, with a lot of players going pro or going free agency, going elsewhere, and a lot of roster turnover in the minors, especially with the draft, all these players moving around. But, it's definitely a good thing to see a lot of players get to return to where they had some success. And I think Kai Williams is lucky in that way, gets to return and play for Iceland again. With Albuquerque on the clock, looks like we'll be having their pick come in just a moment. Did you have any thoughts on what way you think they might go before this pick gets submitted there, Squibs?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Once again, another team that prioritizes activity and involvement in the team a little bit higher sometimes than overall and such. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go somewhere along that range. As Coco mentioned with Hex Waters trade earlier, having some potential openings on the defensive side, possibly in the future for Albuquerque, especially with the cap and everything moving forward. So, I think they might go defense. As I'm sitting here looking at the draft chat, they do go defense. Evan, you wanna finish that off?
Yeah, absolutely. They went defenseman Vikas Zidlicki. Already learned the second defense. That's something you see a lot of prospects already have that second position, which is a huge boost you can get. So definitely nice to see a prospect in the draft already have that. Like Zidlicki does. We're going to see Redwater on the clock now. While we wait for that pick, just a bit of league business to take care of. Obviously, like Krieg came on earlier and he said his goal is 32 teams. That might sound a little ambitious to some at this point, and but it is an end goal for sure. And the word expansion is never liked by our existing owners, but with this class, we talked about how deep it is and how skilled it is. Expansion has to be coming down the road, whether it's next season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, whatever the case is. So essentially, if you're listening and you have interest in ownership, definitely go to the important links channel and apply to be an owner. Those applications, that's kind of a requirement to be an owner in the league, is to fill out that application first. And those applications get looked at anytime an owner wants to step down or leave the league. anytime we have expansion, we look through those applications. So definitely, if you have interest in ownership, go ahead and submit it. Even if you don't want to be an owner right now today, if you have interest down the road, go ahead and submit that application and just get your name in there. And then just be active around the league, and you might get a team down the road. And while you're there in the important links channel, also click on the minors coach application. Throw your hat in that ring, especially if you have ownership aspirations. Those are the types of people that we want to see running minors teams as kind of a trial, see how you do, and see if it's something you're going to enjoy. So definitely, expansion is not a topic that people always like to talk about, but it is inevitable at some point. So, or whether that happens soon or not, people do step down from ownership for a variety of reasons. So, go ahead and throw your name into the ring there. If you guys have any questions as well, if you have hopes of owning a team down the road, you can also reach out to any of our commissioners or existing owners, and they can try to give you some guidance as well. Squibs, you want to give my voice a rest and go ahead and announce the Redwater pick?
I mean, Evan, I don't know what you're talking about. You have a beautiful voice, but I guess I'll let you go and handle a pick, considering you're now on the clock. With the 8th pick here in the 3rd round, Redwater selects right defenseman Jason Kranz. I really hope that I said that one properly, but I probably didn't. So with that, as I mentioned, Turku is now on the clock. Looking at Kranz, 2-way defenseman, 6 foot, 195 pounds, 53 overall, but as we've already talked about, overall doesn't paint the whole picture. Another solid pick here by Redwater. I believe that now puts them, if the list is up to date, 2, possibly 3 defensemen. I see, I'm assuming that's Doug in there working hard on it. Redwater, could be done. Might have another pick coming up. Regardless, as we await for Turku, they now have 3 forwards and a defenseman. And if I had to guess with, some of these defensemen coming off the board and, the options possibly getting smaller for them, they might try to, grab a guy here or gal that is still available on the defensive side. But knowing how, Evan prioritizes, relations and activity, I definitely see him going with a forward that's still available, a forward that I know he's probably drafted somewhere else. So, so that's my assumption. Going to look over here at calling Biff Markham to come on talk about Tennessee's picks, as well as Tennessee's success with Iceland last year and their partnership with Jacksonville.
Hello.
Hello. Good to have you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, we're very, very fortunate to have Gunny, number one. He is just, wow. He is just awesome. He was awesome as the coach of Iceland last season. Did just a great job leading them on to the championship. He's great. We have him right now to help us, with our picks. And I'm really excited that we were able to get Kai Williams and add him back. He came highly promoted by Gunny. So we acted on that.
Yeah. When I was discussing the pick, Kai was, somebody that, I really liked coming into this draft and, having, as I mentioned already, a small handful of spots available, made it hard for us, but, very happy that, you guys were able to get him and he's able to stay there in Iceland and try to repeat for a championship again.
Absolutely.
Biff, what are your hopes for season 6 for Iceland and for Tennessee?
Well, for Iceland, I'm hoping for a repeat, and for Tennessee, I think this is our year to really make a move, and we're going to kick some butt this year.
Okay. The league will hold you to that. If you're not out kicking, I can already guarantee you that the league will be kicking your butt in the league chats. So Best of luck.
Well, Biff gets his butt kicked all the time on the ice, but the rest of us are going to win.
Well, that's a great attitude. Biff, I know last season, I believe you joined partnership with Dave and I believe CGQ. You want to talk a little bit about, kind of making that transition into ownership?
Well, number one, Dave, nobody can replace Dave. Dave does everything well. And it's like the guy is awesome when it comes to negotiating trades. He's awesome on this production here. He's just, I don't think there's a better owner than Dave Axis. That's why I'm excited to be on his team, even in the SFL. CGQ, I am so glad that he got recognition, for last season. Because to me, he's been undervalued by the league, but he's an awesome coach. Awesome at really everything he does.
Biff, I have one final question for you while we wait for Turku's pick. How much did Dave pay you to say that?
He told me not to tell.
Okay. Fair enough. Well,
yeah,
thank
but
you,
you will
Biff.
be seeing me in a new car soon.
Okay, fair enough. What's the car preference?
For me, it's going to be a pickup. It's going to be just an F-150, but fully loaded.
Okay, Ford guy. I appreciate it. Very nice truck, reliable.
Yeah.
Well,
and no car payments. I can't be happier.
Sounds like Dave's got a reliable defenseman there on the ice and a supporter there in the locker room. So we got to get a reliable truck for him. Makes sense. So, well, thank you, Biff.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Maybe Evan will actually make a pick here as the time's running out. As I alluded to earlier, the player that I thought he was going to end up taking is the player that he ended up taking. Evan, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, earlier, a few picks ago, I was talking. I should put that in the sheet. Actually, Jace Thompson was our selection, left winger, very active person so far, and that's going to be Miami on the clock next. So a few picks ago, I started messaging my staff about some of the names left on the board that we liked, and obviously we do need another defenseman. But I said I like Jace a lot, and we were kind of leaning there, and then you said there's a forward that I've probably drafted somewhere else recently, and it got me digging through every list on that spreadsheet because I don't think I've drafted Jace Thompson anywhere else yet. But it got me. Was that who you were saying that you thought I might have drafted somewhere, or was there another player left that I
No,
I
it
have
was
other ties to?
it was Jace. That was my assumption. I didn't want to say that name and then you end up not taking him. But yes, Jace was my assumption. I guess I thought wrong that you would be taking or that you've already taken him elsewhere. But I guess that's what happens when like 3 drafts get scheduled simultaneously.
Yeah, we've got this draft was the first of 3 drafts and a recruiting period I've got coming up in some sim leagues, so it's going to be a hectic week of team building for sure. But Thompson's one that I see in a lot of other leagues for sure. Haven't drafted him anywhere else yet, I don't think, but definitely happy to add him to the Turku Finns organization here to be a Malmo Royal. And up next, we've got the Miami pick here. Did you want to go ahead and announce who Miami has selected?
Yeah, I will drive away with this pick. Biff and I recently just talked about cars. His, of course, being a reliable F-150. Potty looks like he's taking a Ferrari as his choice. As he drafts Felicity Ferrari, two-way defenseman with the 10th pick, puts Jacksonville on the clock. Evan, you want to break down this pick and share why Lamborghini is the better car?
Well, I'm thinking we might need a better host next time with all the puns. No, I'm just teasing. But definitely a good pick there. Felicity Ferrari, somebody who's active in a few other leagues, I believe. If it's who I'm thinking of, but Yeah, definitely an interesting pick. And, a lot of names in this league do open up for puns, and that's where Squib seems to specialize in here. But up next here, we got the Vipers pick is in. So if we're not moving too fast, let's get that one announced here. It is sniper Jacob Gohls. I think that hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad.
And then I think it's Buchholz. He
Buchholz.
spelled it out as pronunciation BUH-HOLZ. I was hoping that you would pick up on that. So I don't know if it's like Albert Pujols, but it's like Buchholz.
Buchholz, yeah, that could be it. Yeah.
Jacob, we're so sorry that we are mispronouncing your name, but we'll eventually learn it properly for the streams. So
Yeah,
for when we're
eventually.
actually streaming the games. So, but yes, that now puts Alaska on the clock. So, Evan, you want to talk about the Jacob pick?
Yeah, that's another player who's newer to the server, newer to the league. Not someone I've talked to a whole lot yet, but since joining has been active in the league. I think he might have joined PXF as well. The name looks familiar. So definitely good to see him kind of joining the community and hearing goals. And yeah, look forward to seeing what he can do on the ice for Iceland next season as he looks to hopefully help them succeed moving down the line as they chase that championship yet again. So we've got just two more picks here in round three here as we round out 13 picks in this round total, 2 remaining. And I'll go ahead and announce the Alaska pick. It is playmaker Tony Rigoni going to Alaska. And that's one that I know Krieg's got ties to from other leagues, and Alaska just has a knack of letting guys fall to them later than they should probably. And I know Rigoni's got a sim league reputation out there, so definitely a good pick for Alaska, and it should be a nice addition to the Berlin Snowhawks next season. Did you have any thoughts on the Rigoni pick and where you think Tennessee might take things to round out round number 3?
Yeah, this was definitely a missed opportunity by Roman Florence to take a guy whose name is Rigoni. They definitely missed out on future merchandise sales there in Italy of very Italian sounding name. But hey, I guess that's what happens when your marketing team isn't up to par yet. So I guess Florence is going to have to promote a general manager of marketing before long. So be on the lookout possibly for that in the near future. Partially joking. But yeah, as we've seen multiple times, Alaska has somehow just had probably the best luck when it comes to drafts and getting, very high quality talent falling pretty much into their laps. And, it's worked out for them in the long run. It was, I think, the best team stats wise last season, and won the championship the season before. So, yeah, it's worked out so far for him.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, and when it's an affiliate, it doesn't have the same, immediate impact. But I remember, a couple drafts ago, like one of the picks they got, I think it was Cam Creed, fell like, people were trading up in the first round to get players very similar to Creed, and then Creed fell all the way back to like late 3rd round. And, the feeling around the league was just like, how did we let Alaska get this guy? And it's just like, just kind of frustrating when that happens to good teams. And this is another case where, a player who's younger and won't have that immediate impact, which, with the affiliate program, they won't be asked to have an immediate impact, but just that sort of activity level and that sim league reputation that should propel him to have a good career there for sure. All right. Krieg, are you around still? Did you want to come on and talk about that Tony Rigoni pick and anything else around that?
Yeah, man, I'll talk about it. Tony, he was on my team in a BTB basketball league, and last season he couldn't make a shot, so he kind of lost. So I'm giving him a second chance on my team in hockey. Hopefully he can shoot a puck, or at least pass the puck, and we can get him a chip down in there in Berlin. I hope he's listening. I don't know if he's or not.
if he's not, you'll have to clip this and send it to him later for sure. Yeah,
I was hoping for who was it, JT Ginn? I think you got him right. Evan. Yeah, I
we
wanted
got-
him. He
Yeah.
he DM'd me and was like, "Hey, how far do I have to drop for you?" And I was like, like another round and a half." And then he said, "Oh, damn." And then you picked him like right after that. I was like, "Sorry, man, you already got picked." He was like, "What?" Like, yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, that was one, like I said on air a few minutes ago. Like we were looking at defensemen, and we just couldn't pass up once we saw that he was still available. One that I felt he slid a little bit too late for his activity level. But speaking of guys sliding late, we kind of alluded to it. You've got a history of good luck with that. Is that part of your strategy at this point, or is that just something that just keeps happening for you?
Considering that I don't have a first round pick until season 9 or a second round pick until season 9, I love when you guys let guys fall to me. It is a tradition, and I'll gladly take it forever.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, we've got you here. Did you want to announce another pick? Go ahead with that Tennessee selection.
So with 3.13, Tennessee selects Greg Hickman, an offense, a defenseman.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess before we throw it over to Squibs, Krieg, did you have any initial analysis or thoughts on the Hickman pick going to Tennessee?
Hickman's going to be a solid OFD. He's already what is he? Hold on, let me see.
He's like
So he's already a
mid-50s.
50. Yeah, he's a 56 overall already. So that's solid, especially if you're coming in as an OFD. OFDs usually don't start that high, so he's definitely already got progression under his system. It's going to be a great pickup for him.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thanks for coming on, and good luck the rest of the way here. And yeah, Hickman played for the Farmers last season, had a lot of success there. Squibs, did you want to touch on that pick and then announce the Norfolk pick in a minute?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of interesting. Farmers, the whole farming community, kind of known as Hicks. So Hickman being a former farmer, I guess makes a lot of sense. And then going down to Tennessee, one of our more southern teams. Maybe not southern in terms of pure location, but in the area around it. Definitely a great fit for him. Yeah, definitely a solid pick. Yeah, and with Norfolk being on the clock, another player that has to handle with the Packers loving Truman. That is Killmonger Vasquez, grinding right winger. Evan, you want to talk about Killmonger while we send North Bay onto the clock?
Yeah, that's another player who's been in a few leagues. I believe currently teammates with me in the ESL as well. Seems like a great person. Not somebody I've talked to a whole lot directly, but just from seeing him in different locker rooms, different leagues, definitely a nice pick there for Norfolk. We're going to bring on another guest here. We'll call on Coco Raccoon again. How you doing, Coco? And just any general thoughts here on what's been going on?
Yeah, it's amazing. A great pick by Norfolk. I want to remind them that they need defense this draft. Being part of their affiliate system as the Farmers, we currently have 2 defensemen, and they've both been picked by me this draft. So when people like Tony Rigoni get drafted and slide to Krieg, they're sliding down to Krieg because you're making Raccoon pick defenseman because you have no defenseman on the Farmers affiliate team. And Sponge is going to go absolutely nuts if he has to coach another team that has no defenseman. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
A goalie upset that a team does not have defensemen. Who would have thought?
Poor Deer. Deer and Turtle are just going to go crazy this season.
Yeah, they're gonna be asked to do a lot for sure. Deer had quite the season. I don't know how much of the minors you watched last season, but did you watch Saskatoon and get to witness what Deer was doing last season as a relatively lowly rated goalie?
Yeah, and especially since Dank is called the turtle, but Deer definitely looked like the turtle out there, and yet was somehow able to make saves. It was quite ridiculous. I'm really excited that Deer will be able to actually be on the bench, and when I give up 5 to 6 goals this season, come in and replace me and hopefully hold the fort down.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of goes to another announcement. I don't know if I think we've announced it a few places, but in case anybody missed it, the backup goalies in the pros now are going to be the minor league goalies for their affiliate teams. So, Coco just mentioned if he gets shelled, Deer's going to come in. Same thing, if Turku or Rome give up a bunch of goals, it's going to be Douglas Brown. Florence and Vegas, we'll see. Stevens come in, I believe. So yeah, it's going to be a good opportunity for those minor league goalies to see a little bit of pro action while they have to wait for that full-time starting job in the pros and still get to start all their 40 games in the minors as well. So, yeah, great points. Thanks for coming on again, Coco. And I think you got another pick or two coming up. So best of luck with that.
Let's go defense.
Awesome. All right, Squibs, I won't make you try to pronounce that name again. North Bay's pick is in, and it is Martin Lafleur going to the North Bay Mallards. Speaking of defense, and that's going to throw the San Diego Reapers back up on the clock. Then we'll see Tennessee, Albuquerque, Redwater, and then Turku, the next 4 picks. Any thoughts here on the pick of Lafleur going to the Canadian team with that French Canadian name there, Squibs?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Not just from that aspect, but a player that has seemed active and engaged, and I know Reed has been working to get the locker room active and more engaged. I guess is probably not the best way to put it, but nonetheless, trying to get talent and leaders in there for the clubhouse itself to make that more active is always going to go a long way in just getting other people active. So when it comes to the on ice capabilities, 6'2", 215-pound offensive defenseman, he's got what looks like a solid start already. So could be a very solid player for North Bay down the road. Evan, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a solid pick early on in his career, like you mentioned as well. But a solid build to start out that big offensive defenseman style for sure. We've got another forward here going as San Diego's pick is in, and that is going to be right wing playmaker Chase Fitzpatrick going to the San Diego Reapers. At number 48 overall, and that's going to throw the Tennessee Black Bears back up on the clock. And just really quick, I was about to count it myself, but Doug hooked it up again. 7 forwards, 6 defensemen in round 3. So it was an odd number of picks in that round, so as close to balanced as it possibly could have been again. Thoughts on that trend continuing, Squibs, and the thoughts on Chase Fitzpatrick going to the Reapers?
Yeah, well, I think answer the easier question first. The trend is going to slowly start to fade because there is, just less defensemen available comparatively to forwards at this point in the draft. So, to go through 3 rounds and be, pretty much dead even split, all the way through is surprising. But at the same time, it's as we've already talked about, less about need and more about getting guys that people want, and that comes from any position at this point. And as I at least know that I've talked about, Matt, San Diego prioritizes activity, and Chase has been one of the more active people there in the chat as it leads into things, and or it's led into the draft at least, and definitely somebody who could have arguably gone higher. But I mean, 4th round is still impressive nonetheless, as well as falling all the way to the very end. Just gives you more things to overcome, like Brock Purdy does for the 49ers in the NFL. And so, yeah, Evan, you want to talk about Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, that's another kind of mid-season joiner that's pretty active as well. Like you said, kind of sliding a little bit further than you might have expected, but still 48th overall. We've seen award winners go later, so the pick number doesn't matter all that much. What matters is where you end up. And San Diego, with Matt leading it, I think has a good active room, and they made some big additions this offseason. So I think Chase might fit in well there with that leadership and try to help the Bucks to succeed. So with that, do we have? Trying to find it again here. Still waiting on the Tennessee pick. Do you have any observations where you heavy discussion going on in the Tennessee war room? By the sounds of it, they still got a couple minutes left on the clock, so no real rush there yet. But Squibs, do you have any thoughts on where they're going to head off to with 2 picks coming up in the next 6 or so?
Yeah, I mean they have 3 forwards and 2 defensemen already, so I can easily see them going in either direction. Jacksonville having 4 forwards and 2 defensemen as well. So if they wanted to maybe go and fill the defensive ranks, they could. Grab one more, but also if they wanted to grab forwards and just play with 4 defensemen relatively kind of throughout, they could as well. So I think either way they go, they're going to grab one of those great locker room presence type of players. And I think that's yeah. I don't know who remains from Iceland still, but I could see him grabbing somebody like Orion Starr or DJ Church. If they go the forward route, maybe defensive route. Maybe a guy like Chao Ming.
Yeah,
Evan?
if you're looking at overall, Chao Ming would jump out at you. I think it's 60 or 61. So definitely that would not surprise me. However, we are going to see Tommy Campbell be the selection here for Tennessee after that lively war room debate. Now they got a few picks to sort out what they're doing next. So we've got, like I mentioned off the top, we do have some limits as well on, sorry, that puts Albuquerque on the clock. I don't know if I mentioned it, but some limits on who can pick, I guess, how many defensemen each team has to take is what I'm trying to get at here. And we just did the math. We've actually run a little bit low on that, on how many defensemen are left compared to how many teams need them. So there are going to be some restrictions moving forward on who can take defensemen and who can't. The rest of the teams are going to have to pick forwards. I think there's 4 teams that still need defensemen, so I think those 4 teams will be the only ones able to take D moving forward as we try to make sure that these roster limits are as closely met as possible. Not always possible to track this late in the draft, but yeah. So Doug has just announced to the teams who can only pick forwards. That's that list seems a little short, but anyway, any thoughts on that, Squibs? And then if you want to go ahead and announce the Albuquerque pick.
Yeah. I to a degree, you kind of saw that this was coming in a way that their defense is shallowing out, and teams are going to have to draft more forwards and such. That's I guess a little bit of the downside of having only 6 defensive spots available on teams and 12 forward spots is that there's naturally going to be more forwards than defensemen. So yeah, it makes sense that it's kind of narrowing out and thinning out for teams. And however, Albuquerque, with the 5th pick here in the 4th round, they take a forward, playmaking left winger Eric Cartman. Evan, as we send Redwater under the clock, you want to discuss the Cartman pick?
Yeah, for sure. Cartman, pretty active from what I've seen. Seeing this name come up at number 50 just feels maybe a little late. But you've probably seen Cartman a little bit more closer in action as a member of the Tigers. So what did you see in Cartman's game and what he brings to the Beijing Bucks now?
Yeah. So heading into the draft, Cartman and Selly were both, pretty high on our boards. They had played in Tokyo last year and wanted to reunite. In Tokyo would have been ideal, and Matt was pretty strict on not trading down, so Tokyo could grab Selly there. Nonetheless, I guess it works out for Selly and Cartman in the end that they're able to both play for Beijing together now as teammates. So, a great pick. Looking, relatively at overall, still, one of the higher remaining overall players left. A little quieter in terms of the general chats, but was active in the Tigers locker room. So, a very solid kind of later pick for Albuquerque at this point.
Absolutely. We've got Redwater pick is in. Did you want to go ahead and take that one?
Yes, give me 1 second. There we go. So with the sixth pick here, Redwater selects right wing playmaker Landon Moore. And this now sends Turku onto the clock. So Evan, I'll let you break away for some heavy team discussions, as Dave would say. So you race off, you try to make some picks. We'll see you back here shortly. Is Scurvy Dog available?
Maybe.
Scurvy?
You hear me?
I can hear you now. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So, Scurvy, you want to talk, I guess, a little bit about, there was some realignment within your division. You actually changed conferences there in Jacksonville. You want to talk about, just kind of that switch and what you're anticipating out of this next season?
Yeah, I don't like mysteries, so I've already built two of our opponents in NHL 23, and I've been scrimmaging against them for a couple weeks now, and it's gonna be a war. It really is. You'd think Florida, now Miami, they lost some key players, but they're still going to be really tough, really scrappy. They still got some dangerous guys in there. And Melbourne, they're now Boston. They got something to prove coming in after last year. They're the ones I say I don't think I have them built yet. And Norfolk, they got some really good leadership up there. I really like what Sam's doing there. So it's gonna be a fun division. It's gonna be really interesting.
First person probably on this show that's talked positively about Sam. It's probably a good thing to throw in a nice word or two about him here and there, I guess. Do you want to talk about the impending challenge of having to face Europe now 4 times per team instead of 2 times each team?
Yeah, the trade-off is I don't have to face Las Vegas 4 times now, so a few more games against Turku and Copenhagen. Really looking forward to that. Looking forward to the challenge, and we got the beefed up Florence. We'll see. We thought you thought you had that last season too. It didn't pan out, but I think it will this year. So it's gonna be fun.
Well, I appreciate it, Scurvy. Best of luck for season 6. And there's one thing that Florence wants to do is to make sure that Squibs can actually score a goal. Against Jacksonville, maybe in Jacksonville. Squibs is probably scarred a few of the ushers there from a time or two. But nonetheless,
they all wear hard hats when you come to town. Still, don't worry about it.
Okay, good. So glad nothing's changed. So, well, best of luck next season. As I see Ani typing, he's back to unmuted. Maybe he's able to come in and share a little bit of the pick process.
All right, my
Ani,
friend. Talk to you soon.
Thank you again.
Yeah, I don't think I was muted this time around, but nonetheless, I am back. Just making sure I get the spelling right on this one. If I can find them on the sheet again. But yeah, definitely a name that jumped out at us a round or two ago. Had a brief interaction with one of our staff members, but relatively new to the league. And seems like a great person, so we're really excited to make the pick here. If you want to go ahead and announce that pick, Squibs, I'll let you take the reins on that.
Yeah, very happy. This player, fell pretty far, but I think you might have another star in your hands. With the 7th pick here in the 4th round, Turku Finns select left-wing playmaker Orion Star, which now puts Miami on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about this pick here?
Yeah, it's a pick or two ago for us. One of our staff members mentioned his name and just asked what we thought about him, and we kind of talked a little bit about it. And I think that was the Jace Thompson pick. We ended up going with Jace anyway, but was kind of, we started talking about Star a little bit more in depth than we did, I guess, in the days leading up to the draft, and we were pretty happy with his attitude and just the good vibes he was giving off. He had a brief interaction with I think Travis in the Miners Clubhouse or something like that a little while ago tonight. So yeah, it just seems like a positive guy to have around, and we liked I guess his attitude and ended up pulling the trigger on the pick here at number 52. And with that, if we're ready to move on, we can go ahead and announce the Miami pick, and that is playmaking winger Scotty General. If I could spell, I'll get it into the board here. Scotty General going to the Miami Maccabees, and with that, the Alaska Arctic Wolves on the clock here for the 9th pick of the 4th round, second last selection of the 4th round here at number 54 overall. Your thoughts on the general pick going to Miami there, Squibs?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways to look at this pick. In basketball, a playmaking point guard or a forward is kind of known as the floor general. So it makes sense in that aspect. And talking about Miami and basketball, you can't forget Shaq. And you can go look at any of his commercials a couple years back and see him riding in a car with the general. Promoting some insurance. And if there's anything that Miami's doing here, it's getting some forward insurance with Scotty General. So, Evan, I'll kick it back to you. Talk about this pick.
Yeah, definitely another active person. Sorry, just answering my staff there. Yeah, definitely another active player going to Miami. I think that's a solid pick this late. A little bit surprised. With how deep this class is, I think guys are going to keep sliding, especially with some of the, the new joining players who are maybe a little newer to the league, but have other reputations kind of sliding up into the 2nd or 3rd round. I think we're seeing some other great selections slide deeper here. And with that, the Arctic Wolves have made their selection. Did you want to announce it here, Squibs?
Yeah, with the 9th pick here in the 4th round, Alaska takes playmaking right wing Ray Steele, which now puts Tennessee on the clock. And Evan, do you want to talk about why the Alaska pick here is a steal of a pick?
Well, I like to see, as a Steelers fan, immediately somebody reacted with the Steelers logo to this pick. So, that's always good to see. As like seeing that logo anywhere I can. And Ray Steele played for the Warlocks last season. Definitely a solid player there. A lot to there's not really a whole lot to say. Just a solid player, solid game all around, and another solid pick here at number 54. I think somebody that could have gone earlier and slid back here to Alaska at the end of the 4th round here. And we'll see what Tennessee does here to round out round number 4. And then after Tennessee, we're going to see Norfolk back on the clock, and then North Bay, San Diego, Tennessee, and so forth from there. But I guess any any thoughts here on where Tennessee's going to go? I think they got to go forward, if I'm not mistaken, with the limited defense available and who still needs them. But aside from that, any predictions on where the Black Bears are taking this one? I'm assuming they're having another lively conversation going on in behind the scenes there.
Well, Evan, I would first say maybe take a look and see if there is any Iceland players left. There to a degree, I knew some of the bigger names on Iceland, but as things go and players join, and who is still on the board, and trying to piece together where they were at some point, and who is still there. I would first maybe look to see if there is an Iceland player that kind of stood out. Otherwise, there's a handful of different forwards that they could go with, and if I had to guess, probably like a playmaker or maybe a sniper or so.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the board here to see if there are any Iceland players. We're starting to run low on players who played in the minors at all last season. There's still a few. I don't think any of them were Iceland ice though, so it's really anybody's guess here. Some players on the board still who do have some minor league experience. We got DJ Church, Christopher Marshall, still there apparently. We've got Evan Mouser, I think might have played a little bit. Caleb Weddlestedt, Care Bear, and Lucky Mitz would be and Mitch Egan as well. And Carolyn Maximov. So those are the forwards left who have played in the minors. Obviously, there's a few other names there I didn't mention. Who joined after the season or whatever the case was, and don't have any minor league games under their belts. But no Iceland ice that jump out at me there. So it'll be interesting to see which direction they go here for sure. Obviously, as we heard earlier, Gunny recommending those ice players fairly highly. So. Yeah, looking forward to seeing which direction they go. Don't want to call on them while they're on the clock, but did you have any further thoughts here as we wait for that conversation to be had?
Evan, I actually had a question for you. You're sitting at 5 forwards, 1 defenseman. So I got to assume that means you're going to go with a defenseman next. Is that correct?
So here's the thing though, is that we did the math and that there's only 5 defensemen left and 6 teams or 6 spots, I guess, for them. So I might take the hit on the blue line. We haven't, sorted out what's going to happen there yet, but one team is not going to meet the 2 defensemen minimum tonight because that did slide under the radar a little bit. So yeah, we'll see what route we take. We're still discussing in the league office, I guess, and then obviously with respective team staffs and things like that as well. So 6 defensemen would need to be met or need to be picked for all teams to hit the minimum, and there's only 5 left on the board. So definitely we got sorry, I was that's funny. Yeah, a couple funny things happened at once, but Squibs, I'll let you take that Tennessee pick.
See, and everybody now in the Twitch chat is going to think that it's just the obvious, and that it's me saying it, but we all knew it. So with the 10th pick in the 4th round, the Tennessee Black Bears select Care Bear, left wing forward. It just makes too much sense with the name, with the team name. Evan, you wanna talk about this pick a little bit more while we send Norfolk onto the clock?
Yeah, for sure. Sending Norfolk back up there. Care Bear. Regardless of the name connection there, that's a solid pick. Had a very very good season with Saskatoon last season, I believe, and definitely a name that. As I was reading out the names that have some minor league experience, that was one I expected to be going in the next few picks here. So definitely a great pick for Tennessee. Quick touch on the fact Doug just pointed out that a defenseman left at the start of the draft. That's why we're 1 short. There were 2 players who left right as the draft was starting, and 1 player who left 3 hours before. So a little bit of scrambling to get the numbers in line. So we're short 1 defenseman because somebody left as the draft was starting. So that's why that happened. And at the end of round 4 here, the start of round 5, we've got one of those defensemen coming off the board, and that is Norfolk's pick, Vinny Faber, a offensive defenseman, going to join Sam's affiliates in Norfolk, going to play for the Wellington Farmers over in New Zealand as they relocate out of Canada due to the pro-minor country rule. Any thoughts on the pick there of Vinny Faber, Squibs?
I gotta assume Raccoon is a little bit happier now that Norfolk finally went with the defenseman here. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid pick at this stage in the draft. As you've already mentioned, there's only 5 defensemen left, so not a ton of choices to choose from. But at the same time, a solid pick nonetheless out of Norfolk. So don't want to give Sam too much credit now. His head will swell a little bit bigger and bigger. But yeah, nonetheless, a very solid pick. Evan, what are your thoughts on Faber?
Yeah, anytime anytime I've complimented Sam anywhere, Matt always says, "Quit that. His head's already too big." So you got to be careful when you compliment Sam too much, especially when Matt's listening, because he takes offense to that as well. But yeah, definitely a nice pick there for the Farmers. Norfolk adding a solid defenseman. So like to see that. We've got North Bay on the clock. That role looking a little dark for my old eyes here, but North Bay Mallards on the clock here. What do you think we're going to see out of North Bay? They got to take a forward as a prerequisite there. But any other thoughts as far as where they're going to go?
I called it earlier, but as I mentioned it, I might have been a little too early at that point. Fletcher makes sense. You can never have too many Dons or Fletchers or Reeds on the same team. As Fletcher Reed will tell you, that would make some sense. As we've already mentioned, Church's name quite a bit. That would make some sense. And then just wide variety of players who still have playing experience in the minors. But yeah, I think above all, Reed will kind of prioritize still that activity out of the remaining players, and hope that he's able to kind of find maybe a little bit of I guess a needle in a haystack, diamond in the rough. Yeah, diamond in the rough. That's the idiom I was going for. So yeah, Evan, what are your thoughts? Any specific player that pops out to you?
Yeah, there's obviously some of the players I mentioned before with some minor league experience. Church. Weddlestedt played in the minors. I think Mauser did as well. So there's those and a few others for sure that have played in the minors, had some success already. Would be solid additions. Outside of that, it's a tough guessing game. A lot of these players are new. You never know; they might have friends on existing teams or whatever the case is. You see Joe Ironsides. I think that's Nate's father, and a few other solid names. Squibs. My favorite show is How I Met Your Mother. So the name Robin Sparkles is always a good one. I don't know if you've actually seen the show or not, but yeah, it's a tough guessing game to figure out which way these teams are going to go, especially this late. As kind of we're starting to see players that are newer go off a lot more. And we do have the pick. I'll let you announce that one if you want to take it there, Squibs.
Yeah, considering that it is still Sunday, I'll take this pick for you. With the second pick here in the 5th round, the North Bay Mallards are taking playmaking center DJ Church. This now puts San Diego onto the clock. Evan, do you want to break down the Church pick here?
Yeah, that's kind of the first name I mentioned the last couple picks here is somebody who Has some minor league experience playing, I think, for Tokyo last season, and definitely a solid addition, I think, to the North Bay organization. Yeah, it's kind of a. Sorry, I'm just taking a look at some of the other names left on the board here. Yeah, Church was one I expected to maybe go a few picks ago, went here. I think that's a great solid addition for the North Bay organization. Did you have any thoughts as somebody who maybe watched the Tigers a little bit closer?
Yeah, to what I saw, Church seemed decent on the ice. Was active relatively in the Tigers locker room. So, it's a solid pick there for Reed, and I think it's going to be a solid pick there for Warsaw Warlocks as well. So, a playmaking center is almost never a bad pick. So, yeah. Evan, what do you think San Diego goes with here? I got to assume likely a defenseman, considering they still need some, but maybe they won't.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that still needs a defenseman. I think they need two actually. So I don't know how many more picks they've got left, but I'd assume that they're going to have to take one, coming up right away. And and the pick is in. It is a Dwayne Simmons, offensive defenseman, going to be joining up with the Beijing Bucks as a Reapers affiliate, and that's going to throw the Tennessee Black Bears back onto the clock here, as we see Dwayne Simmons going at number 58 overall. Any initial thoughts to that selection there? As we've got a few more picks, 5 more picks or so left in the 5th round.
Yeah, actually, Evan, Tennessee is at 7 picks, so their pick here is
yeah, that's my
being
mistake.
passed over.
Yeah.
It's actually Albuquerque now that is on the clock.
Yeah, that's my mistake. Sorry about that.
Well, glad one of us, I guess, caught it. So, Evan, now that we're looking at Albuquerque, where do you think they go with this pick?
Yeah, they've got to take it forward, I think. And like we talked about, Kamenev likes to go activity level, and actually the pick is in, so I'm gonna go ahead and announce that selection, and then I'm on the clock, so I'm gonna announce it, and I'll kick it over to you for some analysis. And it is gonna be center two-way forward Joe Ironsides going to Albuquerque, the father of Boston coach Nate Ironsides. Your thoughts on that selection there, Squibs?
Yeah, we've seen it a couple of times before in league history where father is in the league and son joins, or vice versa. And sometimes they end up playing together, and other times they don't. And sometimes we see husband wife or partners in the league together, and they'll possibly end up playing together or such. You yourself over there with Schvetz, your wonderful wife Carissa. Yes, she did not pay me to say that. You would have just beaten me with something if I didn't. That's besides the point. Then you got, over in Tennessee, I believe Brett Hall Jr. and Barr, because I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name. And then, goodness, trying to think of who else. Oh, Kozak and Beastman. Currently not teammates, but I wouldn't be surprised at some point if they end up linking together. So, maybe this is Albuquerque's way of trying to get Nate to join them. That or they'll end up being, a father and son that continues to battle against each other. So, I think that's one area. And as the Twitch chat is telling me, James Stone and Carrie Baker, husband and wife over there, or husband and wife, yeah.
Yep.
Considering I read Krieg's message, father and wife. Not entirely sure. Regardless, nonetheless,
Krieg's father and his wife are both now in Alaska. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now I understand where that is going. Okay. Yeah. As we've goodness, yeah, the list I think can just keep going on of family and very close people to each other joining and end up playing together over the course. I would say that there is two players that I would never want to see play together, and that is Aaron Kozak and Aaron Beesman. That's just destruction waiting to happen. As Beesman was, I think, defensive forward of the year this past year, and Kozak is one of the best defensive players in the league, and also can throw around 6'4", power forwards that are pretty good at fighting, like they're nothing. So yeah, Evan, you got about 2.5 minutes left to make your pick. So I won't call on you because I got to assume you're deep in discussion. You want to take a look to see, maybe what's there. If I had to take a gander, I would say Robin Sparkles is a solid pick. As you've already mentioned, How I Met Your Mother. What better way to grab a diamond in the rough at this stage of the draft than to go with that? Yeah, that or Mitch Egan, who I believe played for Malmo before, so I wouldn't be surprised if you kept it within the team and went with Egan there as well. So yeah, let's see. Try to get people not have to listen to my voice as I ramble and fill time. Trying to see if there's somebody who wants to come on for an interview. Just jump on, maybe say something. So actually, I'll go with I'll call on CGQ to talk about the Care Bear pick. Maybe not.
Guys, sorry about that.
Hey, you're good.
Yeah, so
yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, the Care Bear pick. Pick. To be completely honest with you, I didn't even catch the pun until after you guys announced it. But after you announced it, it makes me love the pick even more. So I was torn between for Care Bear. I was torn between a couple of other players, but Care Bear just stood out to me. They're a 6'7" sniper with some good looking wrist power, wrist accuracy, and some decent speed for their size. So they're going to be excellent to have on our back line. If we need to call them up on our fourth line, they'd be phenomenal with the size back there. I'm really looking forward to them just because 6'9" snipers are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, having the tallest that a player can go in the league, makes sense. So yeah, well, thank you for jumping on. We have a pick to announce. So yeah, thank you again, CGQ. Evan, you are back. You wanna talk about this pick?
Yeah, not too bad. I only muted myself that time too because I had to take a bite of food. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and right away announce this pick here. It's Robin Sparkles going to Turku here at number 61 overall. Like I've alluded to, it's the name is a throwback to my favorite show, and we like the build, especially this late. A lot of the the higher overall players are starting to dwindle, but 55 overall at this stage in the draft, can't complain about it. Nice build otherwise as well. So yeah, don't know too much about them as a person yet, but I'm sure we'll get to know them. And yeah, Robin Sparkle's a throwback to my favorite show, so helped out as a tiebreaker.
Did your scouts find her singing in a mall somewhere?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's go to the mall. That's I don't know how many people listening or on this call have watched the show. I know Squibs references it to me a few times, but I don't know if he's actually seen it. But yeah, we gotta take her to a mall and see what happens, I guess. But Miami's on the clock, and yeah, with that, Squibs, any thoughts on the Sparkles pick?
I do have to admit I have not watched it in its entirety. I've seen parts of it, but it is on the list of to watch since somebody recommends it so highly. Um, However, I kind of feel like Robin is maybe taking a book out of Marshall's quotes here and saying, that's life. We never end up where you thought you wanted to be, and maybe that's how Sparkles is feeling right now. Kind of ended up where she never thought she would want to be. So maybe it works out in the long run for her and you, and you guys are able to talk about How I Met Your Mother and and enjoy that and such. But yeah, so I'll kick it back to you, Evan.
Yeah, so I think I know why you're kicking it over to me, is we've got to announce this next Miami pick. And I will try not to butcher this name too badly. I think it's pretty straightforward, but you never know. Miami's selection, left winger Victor von Schmood, going to the Maccabees, and that's going to put Alaska on the clock with the 63rd overall pick to round out round number 5. As the rounds are getting a lot shorter here. I guess that's technically the 62nd overall pick, as there is a skipped pick in there as well. But nonetheless, Alaska on the clock here. Thoughts on the Von Schmood pick there, Squibs?
I wouldn't have said it any other way than you would have. So, props to you for that. Looking at the build itself, I just had in front of me. Oh, a 6'6", 238-pound player. Kind of what CGQ was just talking about for Care Bear. Finding bigger bodied players. At this stage in the draft, it's probably going to take a little bit of time for them to develop some. But at the same time, they're going to likely develop into very solid third and fourth line players. At the beginning of their career, kind of more of a checking type player, and as they progress and get better and such, eventually, make that jump up to the second and possibly first line. And so, yeah, looking at just that kind of size, it reminds me a little bit of Wyatt Harris, if I'm not mistaken, back when he was on Turku. So, Evan, you want to talk a little bit about Von Schmood?
Yeah, like another new joiner as well. Like you said, some good size, nice playmaking build. If he turns out like Wyatt Harris, we loved having Harris with us. We just ran into some cap troubles and expansion coming up, so we had to lose him. But definitely a great player to model your build after. With that, Alaska's pick is in to round out round number 5, and that's going to be left defenseman Liam Toge, or Taj, or something along those lines. One of the few defensemen left. Great pick. One of the maybe the only defenseman left that had, or not the only, but one of the only ones left with minor league experience as well. So a nice pick there, and that's going to throw Norfolk back on the clock here. Thoughts on Liam Toge here? As Norfolk's going to have to take a defenseman, I think, or maybe doesn't have to. I'm not too sure, but not counting the pick that would have just been submitted by Norfolk for this one. Thoughts on that Liam Taj pick there, Squibs?
Yeah, so looking, once again at, size and build, 5'10", 150, a bit smaller for offensive defensemen, or for defensemen in general. But, as an offensive defenseman, maybe able to use that speed and, be able to, kind of be a solid power play quarterback at some point in their career. And try to, move the puck around and score every once in a while. And, as we saw, a few seasons back, there was a really fast defenseman, and they worked, heavily on speed, and before long, they were blowing past everybody, and the more that players are able to kind of build up, some of their other attributes, the more lethal that they can become. You look at a guy like Grizzly Bear, yes, it could follow a trend, something like that, where blowing by some players, and then before long, getting some of those other skills up, they're able to become more lethal. So Norfolk's pick is in. Evan, you want to announce this one?
Yeah, absolutely. This pick is, there it is. Norfolk has selected left defenseman enforcer Chow Ming. One that's, I mean, it's a little bit surprising to me, just based on the build that they slid this far, and could be any number of things, just other needs being addressed, or I don't know what the activity's like with Ming, but when I talked to them, it was a pretty quick response. So I'm a little bit surprised to see them fall to 64 here, but definitely a nice pick here for the Navigators, as they needed another defenseman to meet that 2 defenseman minimum that all but one team will end up with here. And North Bay's on the clock now. Thoughts on Ming sliding this far into the draft there, Squibs?
Yeah, I mean, it's very surprising, but if it's kind of what Norfolk has done this offseason with their defense, pulling up to look at their roster. If I don't slide right past it, there we go. Never mind, not going to be looking at that. So I know that they added Billy Big Hits, Gerndeep Guggisberg, and I believe Andrew Schiffer. So all 3 guys who are very physical players who are going to really help boost that blue line for Norfolk, and I kind of think that's going to be able to be something that is kind of passed down to Ming there in the Farmers. Wellington now, is that where are they at now, Evan?
Yeah, Wellington, New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a great addition. It makes, Coco was talking about defensive situation there on the Farmers, and I think that's going to make BB Deer, if he's watching, a lot happier seeing a defenseman of that caliber being picked to play for the Farmers, because that's a great addition for them there. The North Bay should be the North Bay's pick. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, so North Bay is on the clock. Once that graphic goes away, we can go ahead and announce their pick as well. Squibs, you want to throw it over to? I'll throw it over to you to announce that one.
Yeah. So with the pick here, North Bay selects sniping center Christopher Marshall, which now puts San Diego on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about Marshall?
Yeah, that's another one I think had ties to Ironsides. Maybe I could be wrong about that, but was a whale, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And another player I could have seen going higher, but definitely a solid pick for North Bay, and I think he's going to really help that Warsaw Warlocks team that is looking pretty strong heading into next season. And excited to see what Marshall can put together here. And do you have any thoughts on that one while we give it a few seconds before announcing the San Diego pick?
Yeah, Evan, I do want to just say it's not nice to be calling people whales. I mean, I look at him and I don't think Marshall is a whale. I think he played for the Whales. Minor difference, but I know you struggle with some things, so I'll cut you a little bit of slack. Maybe make it past the first round, and the slack will be a little bit less for you. Anyways, it's a solid pick at this stage in the draft, so hopefully Reed's able to get a solid player at this point. So Evan, you want to announce San Diego's pick here?
Yeah, it's a right winger sniper, Caroline Maximov. And with that, we're going to skip the Vegas pick, and we're going to watch Miami Maccabees going up on the clock here, as Vegas has their slots all filled up. So Miami's got to go forward here as well. I think there might be one. I know at one point earlier somebody said that Doug mentioned forwards here on out. That might have been one specific team. There's one more defenseman, I think. Yeah, I think there's one more defenseman on the board. I think it's got to go to San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. Other people are watching that closer than I am at the moment, but your thoughts on where Miami's going to go, as that's about to be deleted if you're watching the draft chat. Any thoughts on Any thoughts on Miami's pick here, Squibs?
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to go with the one they just submitted. Yeah, so if I had to guess, maybe like Caleb Weddlestead. Trying to look and see who else is available. Lucky Mitts, maybe. Um, trying to read the name there. Triton Carswell Bucage. A couple of snipers, power forward. As we know, Potty, power forward. He, likes power forwards. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes with power forward here. But yeah, Evan, your thoughts?
Yeah, on Bocage really quick, that's yeah, I think we dropped the first name from the hyphenation there. I talked to him. NHL's got a 15 character limit, so that if we drop that from the draft board, it would be a little bit easier to read, but haven't got everywhere updated quite yet with that name change either. Yeah, at this point, there's a number of players still available. It's kind of almost a not a crapshoot in a way, but it's tough to know who, I guess, has relationships or has had conversations with these different prospects and which way they're going to take this draft now. And there's still, if my draft board that I'm looking at is correct, there's still about 11 or 12 picks to be made, maybe 10 or 11. And the Miami pick is in. Did you want to go ahead and take that one there, Squibbs?
Yeah. As predicted, Miami takes Caleb Weddlestead, sniper, here with that pick here, which now puts Alaska on the clock. Evan, you want to talk about Weddlestead?
Yeah, Weddlestead came in to the server. I think he was asking initially when he joined for advice on starting his own league in a way, and so he's definitely got that that drive and that interest and that passion for it. If he was looking to start a league, I know might have missed a progression or two late, but definitely a player that if you get him active and you get him progressing, could be a huge benefit down the road here for the Maccabees. And yeah, we'll see what Alaska does here as they're on the clock. Really quick, one thing I meant to mention earlier with, I don't know how many people are still viewing this, but I meant to mention this earlier with the team applications and the promotion of Rose to deputy commish. But essentially, that opens up a spot at director of players and personnel. Obviously, the league has a few people in mind that might fill that role, but for people out there viewing, maybe listening, watching this on the playback, if you have interest in any sort of league leadership role, whether it's something like that or even just some other way you can help the league with the stats team, rosters team, streamers entering progressions, things like that, different areas that we might need help in, whether it's now or down the road or whatever the case is. Reach out to any one of the commissioners and let us know that you're interested, and maybe we'll be able to find a role that suits you and what you're looking to do for the league. And it's obviously much appreciated, all the help we get from everybody. Like Axis has gotten a few shout outs tonight for all the work he's done on this draft show and everything he does behind the scenes as well for his team and for the league. So people like that, Squibs, yourself, and everybody else. So definitely reach out to one of the commissioners if you have interest in a league role, and we can maybe work on something to get you more involved. Squibs, do you want to go ahead and announce the Alaska pick?
Yeah, I love taking easy names. Alaska selects at the end of round 6, playmaking center Luke Thomas. Now puts North Bay onto the clock. Evan, break down this Thomas pick here.
Yeah, it's another one I don't know a ton about as we get kind of later in this draft and some of the newer people are joining, and it's good to see the league growing. And Luke Thomas, going to be a playmaking center, which is kind of one of the more ideal archetypes if you're looking to start playing center right from day one. They start with that 75 face-off rating. Definitely one to fill in that center role right from the start. So you like to see that in the minors for sure. And this is going to put North Bay on the clock. Do you have any thoughts on Luke Thomas going here, or which direction you think North Bay might take it as we're kind of entering the final stretch here of this draft?
Yeah. I mean, no to either, but I can't just leave you hanging with nothing to work with. Looking, at this draft board, it's, as you mentioned, and, it's kind of hard to know, maybe who has connections and, players that, haven't, talked as much in the general chat. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Myself, haven't always been the most active in general chat. There for a while, I averaged like 3 messages a month in general chat. So, it was kind of a fun thing to tally then, and it comes and goes at this point. But yeah, it's let's see, North Bay has 5 players. They have 2 picks left, so both of them going to be forwards. So yeah, I guess maybe kind of fill the playmaking center. A guy like Theo Eaton or Evan Mauser. Maybe getting a playmaker off the wing, going with Mitch Egan, somebody who has some experience before. So, Evan, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, the names you mentioned kind of jump out at me as well. Mitch Egan is somebody that we thought about with our last pick before we went with Robin Sparkles instead, and yeah, definitely interesting that a few of these names are still on the board, but somebody's got to slide, and sometimes it's maybe some players who you think might go higher, and going to be interesting to see which route they take this, as we've got a couple minutes left on the clock still. Oh, and there it is. I mean, yeah, we should have seen that one coming. How could you pass up that opportunity to take Donovan Fletcher, the two-way forward, playing center to start out here? Donovan Fletcher. Why is it not? There it is. Donovan Fletcher. So North Bay's already got a Don Fletcher on the pro roster. They've also got a Fletcher Reed, a Reed Davis, I think. Davis Reed. And yeah, I think there's one other Reed or something in there somewhere. And so your thoughts on the Donovan Fletcher pick as we see San Diego on the clock for their second to last pick, if my numbers are correct.
Yeah, I predicted it earlier that that was another match perfectly made for each other, and so didn't want to take the guess there. Was wondering if Reed would hold off on making that pick for one more round or not, but ultimately I think it's worked out for them, and could be a very solid player. As we see with Don Fletcher, and already grabbing some of these guys who, who are younger and will be able to develop hopefully nicely for North Bay as they're working through that rebuild over there. Evan, what are your thoughts here for San Diego and where they're going to go next?
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're the only team left to take a defenseman. I think, and they've got 2 more picks to do it. So we'll see if they do it here or if they're going to wait to the end to take them. But yeah, a lot of the names we've been mentioning for a little while now, Mitch Egan, Evan Mauser, guys like that could be nice selections here for the Reapers. Yeah, it's tough to kind of predict here, and this late in the draft is only a handful of names, so we're just going to keep mentioning the same ones until they're picked, probably. But yeah, we'll see what they do. Let's see if we got a guest here to come on while we wait for Matt. Chewy, are you available to come on and chat for a minute?
Yep.
Awesome. So I guess you guys had a pretty early end to your night. I think you only needed to make a pick or 2. What did you think of your draft class and how things went for you guys tonight?
Yeah, it was. I mean, our draft was pretty easy this year. We really only had 2 targets for Derek Avis, Bro Nevermind, for our pro squad, and then Wild Bearman for the affiliates. Wild Bearman, or also known as Joe Langell from before. He started up the Gohls ESHL team recently. We've been talking a lot. He was from Warsaw previously, so we got pretty close, and I think yeah, he was pretty much our top forward target from the get-go. So we were happy. It was a pretty easy draft. If we lost one of those two, then we would have had to actually put in some work.
Yeah, that's always good to when things, I guess, line up like that. Squibs you're another one who had a early end to your draft. Did you have any questions for Chewy here, as a new deputy commissioner or as a owner of Copenhagen?
Yeah, actually, probably have two questions for you. One, making the jump from DPB to DC. You want to just talk a little bit about your role as the DPP and whoever might take that role next, what they might be looking at, and what's required for them?
Yeah. So I think in season 3 or season 4, I took that role on. Really, it's just being like that first face when people join the league and like helping them, with the player creation, giving them advice. I remember, I think season 3 or season 4, we had a big recruiting boom from the SFL especially, and I think I had like 45 DMs going with like all new people, like explaining to them the league and like helping them create players. So it's a lot of that. It's also a lot of, I'd say similar to like the player rep, like you want to look out for the players in these situations. A lot of people come with questions. This is a pretty intuitive league. There's a lot of things that players or GMs or owners may not be able to keep up with. So it's really being like that person that people go to.
Well, thank you, Rose. We're going to take a quick moment before I hit you with the second question. Evan, do you want to announce this pick?
Sure, yeah. With the second pick of the 7th round, San Diego goes ahead and selects Triton Bocage. It's going to show up as Carswell's Bocage. They're right winger, power forward, another relatively new person to the league. And I think Matt will be a great addition, or it'll be a great addition for Matt and his organization. It's going to kick North Bay onto the clock. And then Squibs, if you want to take it away with that second question for Chewy, while we give a few minutes for the North Bay pick.
Yeah. So Rose, you obviously had a lot of success there in Dublin. What led to the switch from Dublin Dragons to Copenhagen Vikings?
Yeah. This good question. It kind of from what I kind of pushed it, I guess, to start the move. I originally I was hoping to go into another country, but the team or the country wasn't in the game, like to announce. And even the mascot, like I was looking at maybe like the Thailand elephants, but the game didn't have the Thailand country or the elephants like announce, I don't know what you call it, like name. So like the game would never say any part of the team. But talking with the rest of the staff, I'm a big Vikings guy, and yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much what it was.
Fair enough. Well, thank you. North Bay is blowing in with their next pick. Evan, you want to take this away?
So the first and only pick of the 8th round goes to the North Bay Mallards, and that is center playmaker Theo Eaton. So another newer person as well, as to be expected. A lot of the new players would have slid kind of later, but that's going to kick Boston on the clock as teams start to pick their 8th affiliates. Some of the bottom teams in the standings, obviously, as I mentioned off the top, get to pick an 8th player as well. So do you have any thoughts on the Eaton pick? And I guess any thoughts, I guess, on some teams getting an 8th affiliate and not others?
Yeah. One, it makes me happy to see teams being able, or players being able to get drafted, players being able to get drafted and be affiliated with teams. I know some of these players who recently joined, probably knew that they might not go very high in the draft, and I think there's some benefits to being an affiliated player that some of the unaffiliated players might not exactly have. So and I think as a team that finished in the bottom standings last year, there is benefit to having an additional player. If you want to try to make a trade with somebody, you have at least just a touch extra in terms of trading capital, but at the same time, it gives you another player to try to develop. And if you end up losing somebody, whether to retirement or leaving or something. It just gives them the chance to not really lose anything, but at the same time, then be on equal playing ground in terms of player numbers compared to the other teams. So I think it's a fantastic idea, and it's great for pretty much everybody involved.
Yeah, and that was the main thing behind it. Obviously, we gave it to the bottom teams to try to help them out with either that's a trade asset or another player down the road, or if we expand, whatever the case is. Trying to help out the teams lower in the standings last season, but also the main driving focus behind it. We've always been a players' league, and sure, some decisions haven't always seemed that way. We do what we can to be a fair league, but also try to focus on the players first whenever we can. And this was one of those cases where we just, we didn't like the idea of guys or gals going undrafted. So we definitely wanted to see everybody picked, and that was kind of the driving force behind this decision. Sure, it doesn't help out all teams having even affiliate numbers, but it's better to see. I think it's going to be 5 teams maybe now that a couple players left. 5 teams with an 8th affiliate, just to make sure everybody gets drafted. So. We are a few picks behind here, so let's go ahead and announce the 9th pick. Sorry, the first. Oh, I've got the wrong round title on here. Here we go. Round 9. That's why I'm confused. First pick of round 9 goes to Boston, and that is forward Mitch Egan. Scribs, I'll throw it to you as Honolulu's on the clock. Their pick's already in, so we'll do a quick analysis, and then we'll get their pick in and keep things moving. Thoughts on the Egan pick?
Yeah, I'm happy to see him finally go. He to what I had seen a little bit in Malmo, played fairly well. Definitely somebody I thought would have gone a bit earlier, but as we've talked about before, many different factors go into it for a team making a pick. So you want to go ahead and announce the Honolulu pick now?
Yeah, for sure. We got left winger George Costanza, a two-way forward, going to Honolulu. Thoughts on that Costanza pick going to the Tropics there, Squibs?
Yeah, it's a good draft pick for him. Two-way forwards start off very low in terms of overall, but as we've seen, quite a few times, two-way forwards, do develop into very good players. And if you looked at, NHL's, pro players and what builds that they have for a lot of their players, they have them listed as two-way forwards, even though, you might question, is that person really a two-way forward or not? So, I think that two-way forwards have been a little undervalued up to this point, and I think that they're starting to pick up in terms of value. So solid pick for them. With that, the Norfolk pick has been made. Earlier in this draft, they threw they drafted Harry Chetta, a guy who can really throw that fastball. This time that they needed a catcher, somebody who might be able to catch that fastball from Chetta. And this time they draft Lucky Mitts, right winger. Evan, you want to talk about the Mitts pick and how lucky Norfolk is here?
I mean, the puns It's been less than last draft, so I guess I shouldn't complain. But the puns are still there, and love to see it. But Lucky Mitts going to Norfolk. Just going to put North Bay on the clock. The last two picks are auto picks here, so we'll let the graphics go, and then we'll announce them. A huge, Lucky Mitts. I think this is their second player in the league, so they've been around for a bit. They made a first one, kind of went away for a bit, came back, made a second one, and Norfolk picks them up here. So with that, if we're not moving too fast, let's get the the North Bay pick, and that is Evan Mauser. Going to North Bay, the last forward left on the board. Going to put San Diego on the clock. We'll throw their graphic up and then announce their pick. So Squibs, I'll throw it over to you for a little quick 5 to 10 second analysis on the Mauser pick and then the announcement of the San Diego pick.
Yeah. North Bay didn't have much options left, considering it was the final forward on the board. So, hopefully Reed's able to help Mauser and develop him properly. So, with that, the San Diego pick to bring home the draft for us, they select right defenseman David Palmer. Evan, you want to talk about Palmer for a few?
Yeah, if I could get the right name into the board. There we go. David Palmer. I went one too far down. I went down to David Donut. David Palmer, another relatively new joiner, and the last defenseman on the board. So this means every team hit at least 2 defensive affiliates, as was the goal, except Turku. I took the hit on the blue line there because of the defenseman leaving at the start of the draft and the numbers getting mixed up. But so that rounds out our draft. So congratulations to all the prospects. You now have your homes for next season. I think there's been 1 or 2 players created during the draft that will be assigned to a minors team probably tomorrow, maybe tonight, depending on how things go. And it should be you'll know what team you're going to play for next season regardless, and then you'll just get to build up your player towards next season's draft. So Squibs, I'll throw it to you for any kind of final thoughts here, and then I'll do my acknowledgments and things like that to kind of get us out of here and get us home.
Yeah, third draft for the two of us now. The puns start coming and they don't stop coming. That's what happens when you're an all-star. It makes sense. One little last thing at you, Evan, that you're taking the hit on the blue line. As we all know, you hate defense from early on in your Gohls career. So it checks out. No, but at the end of the day, I couldn't have been happier to be on and for the third season now of doing this with you, and being able to help welcome in some of these new guys and some of the guys who have been here for the last season unaffiliated. Being in the draft is always such a fun thing, and to be just a very small part of it, and hopefully there's not too many sound bites of me this year like there were last year, but to be a part of a special moment for these guys. I hope that makes a small difference, and this production is one hell of a show. So I think that's why Gohls is one of the best leagues out there. So Evan, I'll kick it back to you for the last thing of the evening.
I figure before I do my final acknowledgments, maybe I'll call on our supreme leader, Commissioner Krieg. Do you want to give any final thoughts to our league's biggest event of the year, the draft? Any final thoughts on tonight?
It went really well. It started off great. Dave with his always does amazing videos. I don't know where he comes up with the ideas, but they're always great. And then when you got to give blood, give hockey. That's the staple. You guys did a great job. You two. Evan had a little bit of mic issues there in the middle.
Yeah.
He solved them though at the end, so that was good. Squibs, I don't know where the hell you get all your puns from, but don't stop.
Thank you.
Coco came in there with some great stuff, pointing out some good stuff. Doug doesn't talk, but he's been doing great behind the scenes stuff, getting all the Google rosters and stuff updated. I know Matt's been doing all the roles for all the new people to get on their teams right away. I've been keeping the draft running smoothly, tagging all the teams. I mean, it's a lot of work that goes into us, and we all did a great job doing it. We didn't get 100 viewers though, but eventually we'll get there. But yeah, thanks for all you viewers that tuned in today, and I'll catch you on the flip side for our first couple preseason games coming out soon.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Krieg. And yeah, like you kind of alluded to there or mentioned, like it's a team effort that goes into this, which is kind of my next point. First, I'll just kind of shout out again, if you have interest in future ownership or coaching the minors, there's applications for both of those in the important links channel. Same thing with our promotion of our DPP to deputy commish. If you have interest in any sort of league role or just taking on a bigger role within the league management, reach out to one of the commissioners. That's Krieg, myself, Anya Scola. We got Doug Britton and Amelia Rose. Reach out to any of them if you have interest in a bigger role within the league, and we'll try to get you set up. Big shout out to Krieg, our commissioner, Doug and Rose, our deputy commissioners, along with myself. Dave Axis for the fantastic work. This is our 4th time, I think, with an Axis produced draft show. And every year, I say this every year, but every season, I don't think you can top it, and then you do. So just a huge shout out. Like when we were on the show before, or on the call before the show, and you showed me the first one of the team on the clock intro things, it just blew me away compared, and I thought last season was great, and then you just keep topping it. So good work. Thanks for all you do. Squibs, obviously hosting the show, but also with your social media, your streaming, everything else that you help us with. Tyler Grims for cutting all the new logos from 23. I know it's been painstaking, especially Alaska and Florence for having such brutal logos to cut out. Matt Green for helping us with the roles, like Krieg mentioned, so that the players were into their team locker rooms right away tonight after being drafted. So thank you for that, because otherwise, I'd spend my next hour doing that after this draft. So thank you for that. Krieg mentioned we didn't hit 100 views. We're still striving for that. We hit 99 a couple seasons ago, but we still got up there in the view counts. So thank you all for tuning into this. To the team owners and the GMs for all you do for your teams. The prospects for obviously sticking around and being drafted, and this community can't grow without you guys. So thank you for that. And last thing, league roles, stats, roster, teams, stuff like that. You do get a volunteer bonus if you help out. The stats team really needs help every season. Entering a team's stats for a night takes 5 to 10 minutes. If you can just chip in a couple of those a week, that would be much appreciated. So reach out to one of the commissioners if you have interest in that. I hope I'm not missing anybody, but that's kind of all the acknowledgments and all the thank yous I've got written down. But yeah, huge shout out to this whole community. Great league, great group of people to be a part of. Thank you, everybody, and good luck this season. The regular season will kick off in 2 weeks on January 23rd, I think is the date. Whatever that Monday is, will be the opening day of season number 6 of regular season. We'll get some preseason stuff going on in the time in between now and then, and we'll finish the transition over to NHL 23. Thank you all, and have a fantastic rest of your night. Good night.